step back. I'm mad that when I come down straight, I thought you were my piece, but you played me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly dis, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll with. Lefty, let's roll.
Welcome to the Sativa Cross Podcast. Live from Chris Christie's office. Where is our bumper music? No, this is not our bumper music. No. Why? What is that?
You started out with fake news.
Really?
Yep, you did.
What happened here?
I don't know what happened there, but you started out, first thing you said was fake news, man.
What do you mean?
You said we're here at Chris Christie's office. We're not at Chris Christie's office. He's down the block. The office moved. We're by his former office as of 2 weeks ago. But the big sign down the street says Office of the Governor and all his people and some other stuff that we'd like to redress. Our grievances too. But we are here at the former governor's office. No, the governor's former office. The soon-to-be former governor's former office. That's where we are.
I missed him by 30 seconds, Jim. I literally went up there at 10:40, and he had just walked in, and they pulled away.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty much the same time he used to come here.
Yep. Yeah, so we have the timing right. Almost. So today's show is going to be very interesting. We had Anthony's court date yesterday. That prosecutor was like a robot. So I stuck my hand out to the prosecutor. I said, "Hello, sir. Why are you prosecuting patients?" He says, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Lefty Grimes."
And you're reaching with your right hand saying, "I'm lefty."
I'm Lefty.
Okay.
And he didn't shake my hand.
Yeah, threw him off. It wasn't your left hand.
He wouldn't shake my hand. He was a
very un-American.
He was a vampire. Vampire.
Well, say, here's the deal. You win. Simple as that. If you didn't understand the language of that, and you watched what happened, and you didn't understand our customs even, the people that would watch you walk up, introduce yourself, say something civilly, and have a curt retort.
We don't say that word on the show.
With no...
Don't call them names.
With no... Curt.
What happened? Hello, hello. Oh, it is. It is there.
It's not a C word. Unless you write really sloppy.
No retort. But seriously, though, who doesn't shake a man's hand?
Yeah, even enemies.
David Evans doesn't shake a man's hand. There's others.
Yeah, really? He was a jerk, though.
He refused to shake my hand.
But he knew you.
Yeah. And we had just passed the law, and the governor was reported to be ready to sign it, John Corzine. And I said, well, there's got to be winners and losers. You know?
We didn't like that.
Yeah, well, that's a little different.
No, he pretended, he looked at me and just looked at me and walked away, ignored me. So he went out in the hall, and he thought that he gets to go out in the hall of our playing field and give a report to a reporter who is typing on his laptop that was strung over his neck in front of him, and I went out with my camera and I put it right up in his face, because the guy wasn't taping him, he was just typing. I put it right in Dave Evans' face, and sheriff's officer off duty with him, or whoever he said he was, started doing that, so I couldn't. We had a discussion about it. I'm just saying, I had a complaint, I took it to him, he didn't like it, he didn't have to shake my hand, and then Terry Farley stuck up for me, so I won.
Yeah, I suppose you don't have to shake a man's hand, but it's kind of unfriendly in America, isn't it?
I use the example after a football game, no matter how much coaches hate each other, and no matter how the game went, they shake hands in the middle of the field. And then the guy said, except one time Bill Belichick didn't. And I said, oh, you fell into my trap. And why do you remember him not shaking somebody's hand? Because it was quite out of the ordinary. Am I correct? Touche. I should have been a lawyer. I know, but it's too late to start now.
Too late to start? No, it's never too late.
We're joined by Ken Walsky.
Hello, Ken. Good morning.
Coalition for Medical Marijuana.
Just pull that mic towards you.
co-founder.
Yeah, pull it over.
He's the CEO, the LUA, and the LMNOP. He's every acronym we got at the coalition, and then a few. Glad, Ken's. It's nice that you're so busy. That when you're not here, it's generally because you're busy, and most of the time it's something being busy having to do with medical marijuana or cannabis legislation. But Ken is also our news director. He's our ND.
Yes, actually, last Thursday I was giving a talk to nurses at Princeton Medical Center.
Wow.
About 50 nurses were there, and they were learning about the endocannabinoid system and New Jersey's medical marijuana program. So that was very interesting.
How'd you get that gig? How'd that transpire? Did you approach them? They approach you?
I worked through ATECAM, A-T-E-C-A-M LLC, which is a educational program that gives educational talks about medical marijuana in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, and they are for continuing educational units for nurses and other healthcare professionals. So there's a series of programs. You can go on atecamllc.com and find their entire list of programs. They're going to have one in July and another one in August.
So then we are able to advance awareness with professionals. Was it continuing education credits for this?
Yes, absolutely. There were five CEUs. The program went from 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it was, it was very nice.
You were kind of like a professor for the day then. You were actually
yes.
teaching them, and they were receiving credit. So
yes, absolutely. And it was also I also worked through Medical Education Speakers Network.
I don't want to interrupt, but you may take 2 or 3 of these. You don't have to combine the hemp bracelets to one each, because I'm telling you, somebody's going to see it and go, can I have one? And you want to have an extra to give them, so go ahead and take a couple. It's all right.
$20.
Hold up. You got a double A? Yeah.
Oh, t-shirts. Get your t-shirts.
Yeah, never pass up an opportunity to fundraise. You know, it's not cheap to put on these podcasts.
No.
And
Yeah, and that's why he's allowed his table with his shirts that they do as good as ours. You know, but you know, we will have our merch table up next week.
Merch.
I should be back to full swing by then. I think. You know, we'll be doing good. So how did you interact with them afterwards at all? Did anybody come over, want to get involved? Or?
well, I sold some T-shirts for one thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, I sold
Yeah.
I think $60, and somebody just bought 3 more T-shirts. So really, I usually sell about $100 worth of T-shirts at these gatherings.
Wow.
But not with the doctors. The doctors are not a T-shirt crowd.
No.
However, I did get to give 2 presentations to physicians recently. One at Bayonne Medical Center and one at Trinitas Hospital in Elizabeth. And there was about 35 doctors at the latter one. I asked for a show of hands of how many of the doctors there had taken any kind of courses in
I know what
the
you're gonna say.
endocannabinoid
I knew you were
system.
going to say as soon as you said I asked, and which was discovered when? Mid 1990s or something?
Yeah, about 25 years ago.
Real quick version: the endocannabinoid system is what's the bullet point on that?
It's a series of receptors in the human body for the components of marijuana, the cannabinoids.
When God gave them to us.
Yeah, we have receptors.
Don't chuckle when I say God.
Thanks,
gave them
God.
to us.
Thanks, God.
Thanks, God. we have
I'm serious.
we have receptors for cannabinoids in every organ of the human body.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And I should know everything about this.
and our body makes these substances that are identical to THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, that you find in the phytocannabinoids or the plant cannabinoids, and other cannabinoids. So, you know, it really is an amazing science. It's a whole new system in the
Now-
human body, and physicians
So-
aren't learning about this.
How many physicians raised their hands when you said, have any of you had education?
Yeah, not a single one
Not
in
one.
the endocannabinoid system.
I was told 0 training in medical school on endocannabinoid system and 2 weeks on nutrition in the whole medical school system. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true or not. I never went
No,
through
I
it.
think
That's
it
what someone
was
told me.
true. It was
Well,
true, but I believe
yeah.
there is a small
Right.
percent now
Right.
that are.
I think in 2015, the last one of the conferences that I went to from patients out of time, a physician called every medical school in the country and asked how many even mentioned the endocannabinoid system. And there was about 14% just mentioned it without giving courses. But now there are a couple of
Who may I ask did that? I want to
I
be
think,
proud of somebody in particular.
Dr. David Allen. So
A man called every medical school to find out.
every medical
He took
school.
Take part.
Taking
Yeah.
part. Exactly what I was talking to the class about before. I got to do my own continuing education. I don't think they got any credit for it, but they did take videos.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
You had a
Yes.
big crowd.
Where was that?
Right here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I pulled up and it was a huge crowd in front of Jim. Jim's
Yeah.
like holding court.
Yeah.
What? What
And
happened?
then, to the point where I said, and then if this were a commencement exercise and I were going to leave you with one choice word of wisdom or words that I have learned in my life and could pass on to you, it would be take part.
That's
And
good.
then I backed it up with why. It doesn't matter what. Don't confine your problems to people who want to understand and are going to nod their head in sympathy with you. If you have that problem, you have representatives. You're going in here now. Take part and don't stop.
Good for you. You didn't
Yeah.
need no stinking microphone.
I didn't need a stinking
That's right.
microphone. No, it was good. And so I'm just
There's
saying
people
this,
that will remember that
this
forever.
This
Yeah.
isn't always not a bad place. Today it's been a very interactive place. Oh man, I forget his name. He owned the Atlantic City radio station we were on. Not somebody that was there, not the DJ, not the guy we were talking to. He remembered. He goes, "Yeah, I think you called in. I know Ken was there." And I'm like, "Well, I think you were there one time without me and one time with me." But he stopped and we talked for a while.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah,
Very
so there's people stopping by.
Yeah. Yeah, we expect to hear from Bill Caruso. Bill Caruso's scheduled to stop by sometime today.
That'd be nice.
Great.
So, just one point of business, if I may. Do we have someone lined up for the CMM and JTV show that is taping on 6/26 from 10 to 12?
I'm
Do we
trying-
have-
yeah,
do
I'm
we have-
trying-
Do I have anybody actually?
I have
scheduled?
someone that might. I have to talk to them privately, but I have someone that might be a good option.
If it gets down,
Because we only have a 2-hour show that day, so I mean we only have the studio for 2 hours. So I want to be clear on who.
I have the Assemblyman candidate, Mike Alonzo.
Nice.
He may be available.
That makes sense.
$20 for T-shirts. Which one? Don't shoot, I'm white. Are you a veteran? Are you Haitian? Are you butthurt?
You don't have to be
We got a
Haitian to
bunch
wear
of
the Don't Shoot I'm Haitian shirt.
Not your normal kind of salesman, are you?
Get your T-shirts.
Which one do you
folks.
like?
T-shirts.
Which one do you like the most, sir?
And there are Coalition for Medical Marijuana shirts.
Yes, we have those.
as well.
It's a group supporting women's health. Women's health matters.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Clap, 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 clap.
So Mike Alonso will be available on that day to.
Yeah. Marijuana can help with so many of the women's health matters also.
Yeah. Well, I know Whoopi Goldberg took a lot of crap about menstrual cramps being should be an indication, but
Right.
it got a lot of play, and it wasn't. She didn't just pick that out of a hat. It's fact.
Well, Queen Victoria used to use cannabis for her menstrual cramps.
Yeah, this has been a women's issue since Queen Victoria.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Probably before that.
not enough women taking part though. No, not with this.
We've got a Michelle Burns.
I know. And then we got.
So Mike Alonso hasn't confirmed yet. Is
5
that
to
it?
1.
I'm trying to confirm him.
Okay.
But he's a cannabis candidate. He'll be. He's a MS patient.
What about Bill Caruso? He'd be.
Bill
Yeah.
Caruso, that's what I was thinking of.
Wow, look
We-
who's here.
We
Yeah.
could
Bill
ask Bill
Caruso.
Caruso.
Well, if Buttonhole do it on the show.
if he's
so,
available.
he'll say yeah.
Watch it.
You're tethered, Tony. Tony the tether.
See if Bill can come over.
So Bill Caruso's here. We love Bill Caruso. I think he's going to be a future governor too.
All right, the ladies supporting Planned Parenthood are coming out now. All right,
Yes.
very good.
Well,
Very
we
good.
su-
Now these are people who are taking part, Jim.
Well, we support. We
Yeah,
support.
we support that.
Women's
how do,
rights.
How do you guys feel about the
personal
artificial
rights.
womb? Do you guys support the artificial womb at all? No. Artificial womb? Anybody? No. Artificial womb? Yeah. No.
No.
Is that good or bad? Yeah. Artificial womb. The artificial womb. The artificial womb. 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 It'll save babies. You think that'll help? No. Yeah. No. No. Okay.
They don't
That's something to think
necessarily-
about.
They don't necessarily have a position on it. But,
Yeah. It's new. It's a new technology.
Yeah. Do we support that? Oh no, it doesn't concern us.
no,
doesn't
it's-
concern
it's-
us.
It's not,
But
it's
it's
not
just
one of
I'm
Passing-
just saying it doesn't concern us. You know.
Well, it does. It does. It does. The children. Yeah.
I know.
It does. It should.
No. I'm not saying it concerns us. I mean, as a plank in our cannabis platform.
Yeah. We're all about cannabis here.
Coalition for Medical
Yeah, but
Marijuana in New
we
Jersey
support
does not have a
all
position
women,
on it.
all women's rights. And one time in Washington, I stood up with all the people with the anti-abortion signs, and I stood with them at the Million Women's March in 2005, and I ruined my best suede jacket with a patch that wouldn't come off. So I support. I don't just say I support. I've been there. And the church lady that was making fun of them, I'd put my thumb up and go down, and thousands of people would cheer for me. So I stuck up for y'all. For everybody. I'm like that. That's how I roll.
It's a larger advocate community.
Yeah. Let me tell you what. I mean, it was there for a cannabis thing, but there really was one section where it may well have been 1 million people. It was a lot where they're going by. And they had, like, the aborted fetus pictures and all that.
Ew.
And I went with Jackie Rickert and Gary Stork, and we stood amongst them where everybody could see. And, yeah, it was good because I could go, like, I'd point and I'd look at her and I'd go like that, and they'd all, cheer. And then at one point when they did that, I went like that, and they all stopped. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to stand with you all day. Except for then 3 women jumped up on the little half wall we were on because it was raised above the street about 6 feet. And they were from the march. They said, we didn't want you to be all by yourselves. Oh, yeah, we won. Showing up, taking part.
So Bill Caruso, we have an opening on CMM and JTV, our taping on June 26th from 10 to noon. We were wondering if you could come in for a half-an-hour interview.
I would love to do that. Let me check. I don't know.
All right.
I mean, right now I don't know where I am on June 26th at that time, but absolutely, if I can do it, I'll be there. You know,
All right,
I will.
great, thanks, Bill. So we're very excited about this hearing coming up.
Yeah, and
On the 19th.
On June 19th, the time was changed to 10 a.m.
to 10 a.m. Yeah.
Tell us
And,
about that then, Bill. What's I mean, we know, but we're here for others, not just ourselves. So,
And I think
bring
that's
us
the
up to
important
speed.
thing here because since the introduction of the bill, since the press conferences occurred, there's been some
The legalization bill.
the legalization bill, and I mean, this has been a journey that's been going on for decades, right? I mean, this isn't something that started a couple months ago. It hasn't started a couple years ago. It's been going on for decades. And so I think that if you look at it in that period of time, there's a lot of folks that are actually very thankful and very happy that we're at a place right now where we have yet another hearing on this bill, a legalization bill, and that we are moving this ball forward. Now, the concern I have right now, and it sounds weird to say there's concern, but there's a concern. There's two concerns I have. Our success in getting to where we are isn't really success at this point. We're having a hearing on a bill that isn't really going anywhere at this point. So
It won't be signed into law by our current government.
It may not even be passed out of the legislature this year.
Well, it won't even be voted on by the committee.
This time it won't,
Right.
but we'll see. So I think that there's a concern right now that we've been talking about from various different organizations that have been promoting legalization, that this is inevitable, right? We're almost there. It's going to happen, and that's all true. But it's no reason to take your foot off the gas right now.
That was true in the late 70s, and it didn't happen.
And it
then.
didn't happen. So I suspect we're close. I suspect we're closer than we've ever been. I think all of this is good progress, but we're not there yet. Now, the other interesting phenomenon that's happening that I think is also a part of our success, and I want to stay positive, is this bill isn't perfect by a long shot. And our advocacy is will continue and is needed to improve this bill.
Yeah.
Senator Scutari, who's been the sponsor on the Senate side, I think has put forward a good start, a nice foundation, but with some issues around it, and has been offering his positions on where he is. So, for example, on homegrown, he has an issue right now that he's articulated to folks about what happened in Colorado, mostly around the co-op program. Great. Now that we know that, we can fix it, right? We can work around the edges.
Did Colorado address that issue?
Yeah, they did. And, Colorado had noble intentions, and I remember this, Ken, during the medicinal debate. We don't have homegrown in our medicinal law, which is outrageous. That's a whole different problem. But there are people that are too sick to grow their own marijuana, and they're too poor to go out and buy it, right? So they can't afford it. So Colorado came up with an innovative idea that had noble intentions. Let's let other people grow it for them, right? Let's have a co-op system, so that if I'm too sick to grow my own medicine, I don't have enough money. Jim, I could say, would you do it for me? And you would be legally be allowed to do it,
logical.
right?
It sounds like it'd be beneficial.
So everything that's good in this world ends up getting fouled up because of the darn money. And what ended up happening is there was a licensing structure that Colorado set up for, quote, businesses. And so we'll call them non-businesses got together, and some for noble reasons. A captain on a block decided, I'm going to grow for everybody because I got a rooftop garden, okay? And that's probably a reasonable goal, right? And he has to cite that through the town and all the different reasons you'd have to go through, whether if I want to grow corn in my front yard or want to grow marijuana. This guy or this gal could grow for his entire block. But what also happened was private businesses came in and figured out, we can make money off of this, and we can have 100 people assign us the grow rights, and we can essentially establish our own little sort of black market grow opportunity. And at least that was what Colorado articulated when we were out with Scutari on the trip. He asked, I think very intelligently, what's the biggest problem you've seen, right? And they said their ability to police this home grow because of this phenomenon. Great. Smart people that work at staff level in this building here. I think the folks of us that lobby on the outside, that advocate, lobbying's a dirty word, I guess we got to use advocate. We can figure this out, right? We can have a homegrown provision in this bill that allows sick people, allows folks that
It's
can't
not
afford
like it can't be done.
Bingo.
I say let's pretend like it's really important to people and their health and well-being. Oh, it is.
It is.
So in other areas, we would not stop it. Well, somebody had a problem with some licensing issues and that it didn't turn out well. We would address that. And I think you're right. I wouldn't say right now what's the fix, because there would be one. I mean, there's something that would make it better. And some people, well, I didn't want to have to submit to inspections or whatever. Well,
Yes.
then it's not going to happen. You know, I mean, whatever it is, and I've already asked people that, actually.
There's a balance,
And
right?
there's I don't want the government in my house. Right, Tony? Where are you? Yeah. He was like, I don't want him in my house. And I go, what if it meant not growing your medicine? I'd let him in my house, but I wouldn't like it. So I don't know if that's it, but
Jim, I mean,
do you,
part of that
do you
is-
think we can then address this to the point, and in a public way, that Senator Scutari would understand that this might be more important to try to fix than to just can because of those concerns. I think those concerns are not enough
I know it
for
can.
it not to be there.
I know it can, and I know how we're going to get this done. And the way we're going to do this is Scutari hasn't said no, he's left an open door. He said,
Right.
I'm open to discussing this, right? That's great. What we're going to also do is educate his colleagues, because I think what he did is put a bill together that was palatable to a lot of folks. Remember, not everybody inside that building right now is gung-ho ready to go do this.
No.
We are, and we're educating people, and we are winning votes day by day by day. This has been a slow, arduous process, and we've talked about this before. I mean, I use Majority Leader Greenwald as a great example. Lose a friend when he originally started down this path, was not a proponent of this. I think was still coming around on medicinal. He sponsored a medicinal expansion bill. He's become a proponent of legalization now. He understands this issue, and that was all through. And we call these folks hypocrites when they flip when they were a no and they flipped to a yes. But
Ken, was that Jim Price's?
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought it was really smart. What he
So
wrote.
yeah, it was. We're able to make that effort because we're able to have success now. And he's good to point to. For other people to say he hasn't been supportive in the past does not mean we shouldn't revisit the issue with everybody.
Without question. And we're going to find that folks have individual reasons. I've talked to legislators who are parents who are concerned about their kids getting. We tell them, your kids get this already. Right?
Yeah.
It's easier to get illegal marijuana.
There's going to
than
be
it is to get-
diversion too.
Right. Well, and you know what? But we're
There
seeing
is.
signs in Colorado that the teen use has gone down as a result of legalization.
Oh yeah. When I say there's going to be diversion, I just know the word diversion has
You're right.
has quite an effect.
You're right.
And there's diversion with pharmaceuticals
You're
to
right.
people that are not prescribed to. There's diversion of alcohol to minors, tobacco to minors. There's diversion of every regulated product that exists in this world. There's
Yes.
always going to be diversion. So diversion in and of itself is not a reason to not do something.
It isn't, because
It's a balance. It's you risk, benefit. What's the benefit? What's the risk?
it's all the positive benefits that we're able to educate folks on.
Should
now. And so-
outweigh that it's there will be diversion, but like you point out, it's not going to be somebody that never used cannabis saying, I got it because of diversion. It's people are having it now, and it's illegal now.
Yes.
It's not even decriminalized now. It's illegal as could be, and it's being, in effect, diverted. I mean, the black market is nothing but one big bunch of diversion.
Yeah, and I also think there's a misconception in this building. There's absolutely a focus on the revenue side of this that has gotten the attention of a lot of legislators, and they start to realize that. And there's a part of that you understand. I get that, right? And
Yeah.
particularly given the fact that we're in budget season right now. But what I'm heartened by, and we've met with folks in both the Assembly and the Senate, aren't moved solely on that issue, right?
Do you think they're not moved solely on the issue, or if I were a legislator, I would be worried about the optics of not having anything better than money to talk about, which is, I think, to me, I approach it as if they are genuinely, really, want information. But when we can give them really good reasons, which you've already given, and we have more of why it should happen, never mind the money, I think they're going to really appreciate that, for the simple reason that they do support it, or they want to support it, but they can say three things first and then say, and by the way, and it's going to be revenue, and we won't have to cut this, we won't have to cut that. Now they get to make it relative. I don't think it's like we get money. It's like, no, if this is legal, it'll allow us to not cut certain programs, because that's what people understand.
I've been doing this for a while now, and what I've realized,
you have.
These folks are complex creatures, and that there isn't one silver bullet that gets anything done. I think what you end up getting to, and we've certainly gotten to on this issue on legalization, is you get to a tipping point, right? And where we started in this effort was you'd reach out to one of the members of the legislature and say, hey, I want to talk to you about legalization. And they're like, no thanks.
Yeah.
No thanks. I'm not interested in that. Thank you very much. Now you're getting a dialogue. Now it's about, well, what about this? What about this problem? And we're having conversations rooted in fact on what we know and what we're able to share with them on the medicine side, on the science side, the revenue side, the new jobs. And by the way, the lost opportunities because we've persecuted such a significant amount of promise in generations, right, that can come and be the new business owners in our state in different areas that haven't had opportunities because they've been prosecuted in the criminal justice system. So I think we're educating on all these different points, but we're in a dialogue now as a result of a tipping point where people are allowing us to talk and engage in these discussions.
I believe that. We get a seat at people's table now, and Ken was just talking about the people he's professionals, the nurses and physicians he's allowed to talk to, and they are continuing continuing CEUs.
Well, CEUs for nurses and continuing medical education units for physicians also.
So that, we've become part of that process, and I didn't mention it before, but it was running through my head that when people think we're stagnant, we're not. They just can't see a lot of the progress that we're using as building blocks, and that's huge, being able to talk to physicians. And when Ken asks physicians, how many of you have had any training in the endocannabinoid system, not a lot, no hands went up. So he didn't have to say you should, because that was the pregnant pause just left hanging there when nobody raised their hand. That's the inference.
I'm raising 3 kids. I have 11, 9, and almost 7-year-old.
Don't hesitate when you say their ages.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to make sure I got it straight. They 3 little boys that I've watched grow up for the past 11 years. We were looking at pictures the other day of when they were babies, and the one wasn't even born yet. And you look and you're like, how did this happen? Where did this go? Our movement's similar in that sense. It's incremental, right? So all of a sudden you're sitting there like, look where we've come.
Yeah.
Jim, I've known you for over a decade now.
Yeah.
I remember
over a decade and a half.
Yeah, it's easy that, right? And I remember a conversation. No one wanted to talk about this issue. Medicine. They didn't want to talk about medicine, right?
No,
Medicine's polling at 93% right now. I joked the other day with somebody that told me, it was a candidate that told me, I'm there with you on medicinal. I said, great, so is 93% of the general public. You get no points for that. Thank you very much.
And that figure should be something that everybody points out to their legislators. If you don't know, you should know. 93% agree with me.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm going to make sure they know that.
Well,
whether it's an inference or spoken,
absolutely.
They know
Yes.
that this is hugely supported. So it has gotten easier. And I point out to people when we're in front of the State House, I say, look across the street, and there'd be patients using their medicine.
Yeah.
With people walking by and traffic going by. And
State troopers
we
around,
we couldn't do that just a couple of years ago, a few years ago. And when we first could, it seemed grand, and now the kids are growing, and people, why do I have to walk that far? And I'm like, it's still somewhat of a privilege in my mind, I mean, for those who can.
Even to be here, okay? This podcast,
Look at us, right?
You guys know the struggle to get the approvals to be here, right? And I know we're in the First Amendment and censorship, but this was one where they would probably go, no, we reject it. We're not going to be here. You're not going to be here.
Well, they've done what they can to set up, not roadblocks, but it's like, no, you can't put signs on the railings, you can't do, and a lot of you can and what you can't do, but we've fooled them. We've complied with a smile at every request.
Absolutely.
And we've warned
And pizza.
And pizza, right, free pizza, We've worn them down with our tenacity, and we have nothing but respect from the state police for showing up here every week since mid-June in 2014.
Our first demonstration was in 2005 here at the State House. So, we've been at this for quite a while. And for the most part, the state police have been very, very cooperative, almost exclusively
They
very
really
cooperative. We have been shut out of communities. For example, Princeton University, felt that we were not an appropriate fit for them, so we were not allowed to set up a table in Princeton. Hamilton September Fest gave us a hard time for selling wristbands.
ACLU straighten that out.
Some of the local communities have been kind of apprehensive about any talk of marijuana.
It hasn't been to the point where I would organize it, but one time somebody is going to say, that's not a fit for what we're doing, and I'm going to say that's too bad, because it's an event that I would have liked to have come to, and then go to with Coalition for Medical Marijuana shirts on, and then wander around the event weekend table as a group with shirts and individuals just to be there.
Well, and to go back for a second, Ken, you just brought up an interesting point about municipalities, right, and the role they're going to play. And I can go back to the legislative side of this. There are multiple pathways that this legislature can go, and we've seen the impediments, unfortunately, on medicinal, right? Now, some of that is structural in the sense there were only 6 medicinal dispensaries that were established,
I
right?
like medicinaries better.
I blended the two.
No, I love it.
But you also have this problem where, particularly at the outset of this effort, the NIMBY issue, the not in my backyard, was on to full display and preventing these things from being cited. So now when we look at the legislation, this is where we have to be smart as advocates, and I think the legislature has to be smart in what they want to do. The League of Municipalities is a formidable force here. There's a group that represents local governments. They're a lobbying force here in Trenton. And local mayors and local governments are going to have concerns about where these things can be cited, how close to schools, all these different things, right?
We've seen that.
There are legitimate concerns that have to be addressed, but they can't stop the program either. So the legislature's got to find the right balance to not force these things in towns where they don't go. And I think there's going to be enough of demand for both dispensaries, but also for recreational use, for also grow facilities, warehousing, the pharma company, all the different things are going to go. I think there's going to be a demand for that, not necessarily the old guard, but we've got to find a way to make sure that when a small business owner, right, a resident of Elizabeth, who maybe graduated high school and has some experience in this field, decides that he or she wants to invest in this economy, whether it's through a minority side program or not, are they going to be able to do that in their hometown? Are they going to run an Uncle Sam or local Uncle Sam to be able to do that? And so I think the legislature is going to work through those issues, but we as advocates have to work through that process to make sure it works.
What you're saying is, I think, really good advocacy advice for people who are already advocates. Basically, we are aware of what their concerns will be. Some of them. We don't know all.
Sure.
But to know that we need to be ready with the answers in a form they can understand is integral, because too often I've seen people have the conversation where they didn't have a command of exactly what it was somebody wanted or what their concerns were. And I think in large part, I saw through going to Maple Shade, the first town council meeting to talk about this, and they were talking about worries of patients selling marijuana in the parking lot, reselling it in the parking lot, and it was a joke.
Upper Freehold Township, they came out and said they were worried that their school buses were going to pass by an alternative treatment center, and the kids were going to see the alternative treatment center. So.
Right, my God, they shouldn't see that. But it's the worries that were stated, and it was very, very NIMBY. And all I could say to these people then was, let me run some figures by you. And I did, and said, so you can see by my estimation that it's likely that on most days, a patient is not going to see another patient at the dispensary because there are so few patients right now that you're worried about traffic. And how big would the parking lot be? And I said, it's not going to be 2 patients at a time there. They're just not. And in the beginning, there wasn't. And Maple Shade has bigger problems now, and
these
I
are
should
good.
Remind them.
Listen, these are good things, because I think it'll. First of all, some of the concerns are so outrageous and silly that they speak for themselves, right? And you don't have to defeat them, or if you do, you can quickly dispatch for them. Some of them are more complex, though, and cause some thought, right? And you've got to deal with those. I like hearing from the opposition. I don't like when they lie in wait in other places. I like dealing with it out front. I like being able to confront it.
How do you get to that position?
Well,
because we can't get opposition literally to our table, and we can't get them to CMM NJ TV at Princeton. We would like opposition to come down. It would be a good program.
Sure.
Equal time, civility. We promise that.
I don't know who quote opposition is. It's someone unorganized. So I think what we
the man.
The man. Yeah. Well, here's the good news. As the legislators are hearing concerns or articulating general concerns they either read about or something like that, I don't believe in the social media arguments, because I think that's a place that devolves into yelling and screaming back and forth that doesn't get anywhere. But when a legislator confronts you with what about the children, right? And I have armed with phenomenal resources of Dr. David Nathan, who's part of NJUMR. And on our first press conference, a reporter who was a mom herself asked that question and said, aren't you worried about that? And said, wait a minute. Kids are getting this stuff already, and here's why. And by the way, we aren't advocating for kids for folks under 21 to be used. We're not advocating for marijuana use. We're advocating for legalization, so those that choose to use it can use it. And you start explaining this, and it's very common sense. It's not in the face. It's just calm debunking of some of the hysteria that's been ingrained in our culture since I'm 43 years old. Since the day I showed up on this earth. We're also not only moving forward on legalization, we're doing something more profound that I think has even more profound benefit. We're changing the stigma, because listen, if I need the medicine, I still got the stigma attached. I'm worried about my neighbor going, what's he doing over there? Or God forbid, I'm going through a child custody situation where there's a stigma attached that I'm using this. Or my employer goes, he's a liability now because he's, quote, using marijuana.
Or if you're a teacher in a public school system.
All of this. And
you can't be associated.
we have to fix some of that too, and we're doing that simultaneously as we're changing hearts and minds to get the votes for this too, and I think that's important.
And I think one story that really backs up that, well, they're already getting it, kids are, and that we'd like to have it regulated as an adult product was, I read about Boston Freedom Rally they have there, the cannabis rally. They have it every year, but 7 or 8 years ago, I read a small part of somebody's account, of a reporter's account, that said that she saw two obviously underage, turned out to be 16-year-olds, just casually and discreetly sipping beer on a blanket. And she came over, and they were willing to talk, no names, and said, aren't you worried about consuming? And he says, well, we're discreet as we can be. And she goes, how do you get beer? You're too young. He says, we trade joints for it. They were honest about that. And that's why they were at the rally, because they knew they could trade. They could get the joints, but they couldn't get the beer.
Yeah.
Because the beer was regulated, and saying, psst, mister, get me some beer. Like the old, no, because there's huge consequences. So the regulation of it may actually be a good thing in many ways. It would make it harder.
Yes.
People are not going to want to risk the freedom to have an adult product and getting in trouble giving it to somebody that's too young with beer or alcohol. There's not a lot of adults that are
and Jim,
going down for that now.
We're not asking them to stand out on the limb here and jump on a leap of faith. We're asking a lot of these folks who look to precedent and other issues, right? They're rooted in the law and in the creation of laws. There's precedent here. There's research to show. You don't have to be first. We've heard a lot of members of the legislature. We don't want New Jersey to be first here. You're not. We're not by a long shot. We're not a laboratory. We're essentially learning from where others have been. And Colorado and other jurisdictions have seen this. There's also some misleading data that I think we need to debunk that comes out of some of these jurisdictions. My friend at AAA, and Ken, you talked a little bit about some of the roles they played positively and some of the roles they played negatively. AAA actually just debunked a study that was potentially harmful to our cause. There's a study that came out of Washington State that showed that there was a correlation between an increase in marijuana use and deaths in motor vehicle accidents. Now, wasn't a correlation in the deaths in the cause. It just said that there were more people that were that had been involved in motor vehicle accidents where they had died and had marijuana in the system, which they could have used on a Saturday. And by the way, it would be attributed to the fact that now it's legal there, so there probably were some more people using. AAA came out and said in that study, there's no correlation between whether or not their use of marijuana caused the fatality in the accident. And I think it's helpful. Stats can say anything, right? You attach them to people are dumb. They read this stuff and they go, "Oh my God, it's not true." There's nothing there correlating other than the fact that it shows that somebody consumed marijuana.
Well, the gateway theory
and then drove a car
thrived on that for all the
Without
years
question.
it did.
Without question.
It was exactly it.
Well, then why did that representative of AAA testify so strongly against legalization of marijuana in Delaware in the Delaware legislature if they knew this and this study came from AAA? That to me, that's the question.
I think it is. I think it's a bit. It's explained a bit by the disjointedness of these organizations that are set at a national level, but have state chapters and different views. I'm happy that at least in New Jersey, our state chapter seems open to this discussion. Concerned about driving under the influence, but we all are, and that's what we've said.
Sure, absolutely.
Even the folks that are advocating for this have concerns about this. We're certainly not advocating for that. So, that's a smart approach, I think, from the hat tip to AAA New Jersey. That if that's their approach to this and that's where we're going to be, good. Come to the table. Let's talk about that. We had a meeting with one of the business groups recently that was concerned genuinely. I mean, not she honestly said, I don't want to blow this up. I think this is great for our state. This makes so much sense. But what do I do as a business owner to make sure that we're policing against some of these concerns? And what do I do to make sure that we're dealing with some of these issues? And the answer was come to the table, be part of it. Have these discussions. And I think you're seeing that now. I think people are out in the open and having that talk.
Right. Bill, if we could, we'd just like to review our testimony, proposed testimony for the Monday meeting with Senator Scutari.
I'd love to.
At the Senate Judiciary Committee at 10 o'clock in room number 4. And, well, first of all, we're very pleased that Senator Chris, yes, we're very pleased that the Senator introduced the legislation. Of course, we're concerned about home cultivation. So many people are concerned about the lack of home cultivation in the bill, and we support home cultivation in the bill. But we were going to propose a series of amendments to the Compassionate Use Act in conjunction with this legalization bill, S3195. And those amendments that we would propose would be to eliminate the 7% tax on medical marijuana and basically restore some of the important provisions of the original S119 bill that the Senate approved in February of 2009. And that included home cultivation, 6 plants for patients.
Yes.
For registered patients with an ID card issued by the Department of Health would be able to grow 6 plants or assign a caregiver to grow the 6 plants for them. That was in the bill that was approved by the Senate. We'd also like to restore recognition of out-of-state ID cards that was in the original bill. Now that 29 states and D.C. have medical marijuana laws, we'd like to expand the qualifying conditions to what was originally in the S119 bill, which was chronic pain for any reason. Chronic pain as a cause of chronic pain would be qualified for marijuana therapy. And in addition, add the 43 petitions that the Medicinal Marijuana Review Panel gave initial approval to. Also we'd like to expand the physician registry to include any doctor in the state of New Jersey and any advanced practice nurse in the state of New Jersey to recommend marijuana for their patients. And also to reschedule marijuana. You know, the Office of Attorney General still considers marijuana a Schedule I drug here in New Jersey, which has no accepted medical uses in the United States. And here, of course, the Department of Health recognizes medical uses. So to do away with that, absurd conflict, we'd like to also ask that marijuana be rescheduled. In the courts have said, well, when they brought up the issue of rescheduling, the courts have said, it was up to the legislature to reschedule marijuana. If they wanted it rescheduled, they would have done it in the law. And we think it was just an oversight, basically. So we'd like to correct that one. But anyway, these are the kind of issues we want to support the bill, add these as amendments to the Compassionate Use Act. And the only real concerns that and if we did that, the only real concerns that we would have with S3195 would be that it prohibits smoking in public.
Yes.
You know, we think that that's very unfair to homeless people.
I saw your statement online,
that,
and I thought that was really smart. Listen, you as usual, a very comprehensive review and approach to this, and I think it all fits. And smartly coupling this with the moving vehicle, right? It's germane to that bill. These things all fit, and I think they make sense. I've talked with a couple folks about this repeal on the tax, right? We don't tax medicine, and we shouldn't.
Right.
And I think that if you look at it, so that's from a social justice standpoint and a what's right standpoint, but I also make a fiscal argument. We're not taking in a ton of money off of that medical tax. So from the legislator's standpoint, I think there's $1 million in revenue or something that we'd forgo by eliminating that tax. They should do that as a sign of good faith. And I think with the tax revenue that's going to come in on the recreational side, there's going to be more than enough to cover whatever we lose in that sense. And that makes a good sense because we shouldn't tax medicine. It's the only medicine we do tax. The rest of what you talked about, frankly, should be an easy lift because we did it already, right? It was
Right,
a lot of it was in the
right,
bill.
right.
I think the outdoor use, I know why they put it in. I think your focus on putting it back, I think with maybe some restrictions around it might make some sense. And then the other thing I'd say to you is some issues that we've got to work around. This bill technically includes expungement, but it's not a very robust expungement. And my friend Chris Goldstein, who's here, we've talked a little bit about this in the past, and I think a good expungement is automatic expungement. I mean, expungement is cost prohibitive. Therefore, it's a regressive policy that impacts the poor more profoundly than it does the rich, and it prevents folks from getting the record clean, which prevents them from so many different other aspects. So I think we've got to work on the expungement piece. And then the other piece that I think that really has to get fleshed out some more is we have folks that have been involved in a black market economy that have the potential of being shut out of this new economy if we aren't smart about how we write this law. We have communities that have been besieged by this war on drugs that have the potential of being left out of this new economy, and we have to address in the law. And it is not just built on race, although that is prominent, unfortunately, because of the disparate treatment for African Americans and Latino members of our communities. But it's also disparate impact on the poor. So we've got to figure out how we write a law, and there are some provisions in here already that include smart approaches at going after small businesses and making sure there are opportunities included in them. And so I think where we're headed with this bill is a good sign. I think we've got good foundation to work from, but I think there's constant improvement. And like I said earlier, the senator, I think, has been very open to a dialogue. He's put forward a platform and a foundation of where we're going to work from, and we're still in the beginnings of this process. So we just keep working.
Yeah, that was one of our other issues, that there should be some type of affirmative action for the communities that have been so severely impacted by this war on marijuana. That at least given some kind of leg up on opportunities in the legal industry. So we're certainly looking forward to that. And now we have Chris Goldstein coming in, and
Hey, guys.
Ricky Rivera.
Thought I'd say hi. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. How you doing?
Great.
Everybody's all dressed up in their suits today.
Everybody's
It's so
looking,
nice.
looking pretty, and it's thankfully not 92 degrees.
Right, right, exactly. It's like,
Hi, Ricardo Rivera. Bill Caruso. Good to see you.
yeah. So I think you guys were talking about Senator Scutari's bill.
Yes.
So
Sorry,
first,
we're in a conversation there.
Chris Goldstein from Philly Normal, and Ricardo Rivera.
I'm not at Philly Normal anymore.
Oh, you're not at
yeah,
Philly?
yeah,
Oh,
no.
sorry.
I've been focusing on writing and my class at Temple. So I stepped back from the board at Philly Normal this year. The class just took a lot of time. I mean, it was 22 classes that I had to teach. Each one is 90 minutes long, and it was a full semester of classes. So I felt like it was and it is. It's important to really focus on that.
Luckily, there's no end of things to talk about regarding marijuana.
No, certainly not. But it's also telling. I mean, most of the students were on their way to graduate. I mean, most of them were graduating from the journalism department at the time. So they're interning at NBC Philadelphia and the Inquirer and everything like that. But what's telling is that what we teach in the class is sort of the background of prohibition and the background of the issue, and how to cover it as a journalist to make sure journalists get a lot of great information about healthcare and the environment and politics, and they have this working knowledge of the background of the issues. But when it comes to marijuana, and I think you guys have probably encountered this over the years, is that when reporters start talking to you, it's a brand new issue.
Yes.
They really don't have the context for the law or everything leading up to legalization.
Absolutely.
So for journalists to really dive into this and cover it correctly and not get snookered, to be honest with you, I mean, there's so many weird players in the space these days sending out press releases for like IPOs and things like that, and it's really hard to know who really is trustworthy to talk to as a member of the press.
Well, Chris, even on the drug treatment side, right? A noble profession. People who have an opioid addiction. But what we're starting to see is, you and I've talked about this before. You follow the money in this stuff.
Ugh.
What doesn't make sense to me is when we start learning, right, in so many profound ways that marijuana is not a gateway drug; it's an exit drug. But there's still a refusal from that community. And then you realize that, well, listen, somebody like me, if I get arrested today for consuming marijuana, I got two pathways. I go to jail and I lose my career, or I go PTI, I go plea in front of a judge, and out of my own pocket, I go check myself into a drug rehab, right? And I get, quote, clean from my marijuana addiction. I don't mean to paint everybody in that brush, but I think some of our friends in the press community have sometimes get duped by that and go, whoa, the drug treatment people say this is bad. Well, why do they say it's bad? Is it on the merits, or is it because they're worried about losing revenue? You know?
Yeah, it's a real gravy train. In fact, I was just looking at the 2015 report here on New Jersey drug treatment admissions. So we had roughly 70,000 treatment admissions in 2015. 48,000 were unique clients. 15% of those admissions statewide were for marijuana. That was 10,000 people treated for marijuana.
Wow.
Now, the National Institute on Drug Abuse says that 6 in 10 of those people in treatment for marijuana were sent by the criminal justice system. And what's good about New Jersey's reporting on drug treatment is that it's really detailed. So what you can tell is out of those 48,000 people, 61% were white, 84% were below the federal poverty level. 47% had their treatment paid for by Medicaid. The other 44% had no insurance. So, you know, at the end of the day, we have to look at our drug treatment system, who's being treated, how the money is flowing here, and recognize that if we want to deal with the opiate crisis, we have to fix our broken treatment system.
Yes.
You know, the Vivitrol story, which came out on National Public Radio this week, was a real telling thing. Vivitrol is a new drug that they want to have in the opiate treatment stream as an alternative to Suboxone and methadone replacement. It's a once-a-month injection that blocks your opiate receptors. The pharmaceutical company behind Vivitrol has been heavily lobbying legislatures. 22 legislatures now have Vivitrol in the language or the description of the drug without the name of it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
In the language as well. And that's really confounding what is a very well-practiced methodology here for medication-assisted treatment for opiates. We can't cut off all these avenues and start to look at treatment as a for-profit venture, which it is right now.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Obviously, it's not a for-profit venture for taxpayers if 40%, if so many people are using Medicaid to get treatment and they're being referred by the courts. So you brought up the idea that it's people who get arrested for marijuana where this is a real problem. But, Bill, this is deeper
It's
than
deeper.
that.
No, I get it.
So
I get you.
if you get arrested for shoplifting and you get 30 days of non-reporting probation, you're also going to get drug tested. And at that moment, if you fail for THC, which is the most common thing that people fail a drug test for, you're going to have to...
You're in.
Well,
You're in.
and people are getting treatment for marijuana not because they're having an actual cannabis dependence issue.
No.
They're only doing it for legal compliance.
Absolutely.
So, and this is what's really keeping us back from dealing with the opiate crisis here and in cities like Philadelphia. So,
Well, and then we hear about the shortage of options for folks that really need it too, right? And that's the compounding factor. There are folks that absolutely need this treatment, but you're right. For legal compliance reasons, folks that don't are being forced into it, and that's a waste of resources.
Yeah, the Vivitrol thing is also important too. The Associated Press this week issued a new style book thing about the difference between addiction and dependence. And that is a legal definition, and you talk about the treatment professionals and even the legislative debate when it comes to marijuana legalization. And there's this falsehood about the difference between the two. But there is hard lobbying happening from pharmaceutical companies to confound that issue.
I believe that.
So, it's good that the press and the Associated Press is really taking note of this. This is something that hurt marijuana legalization for a long time. So I think we've turned the corner on that issue a little bit. But we have to have people understand that, if we're going to legalize marijuana in New Jersey, one of the key aspects of Senator Scutari's bill or Michael Patrick Carroll's bill, whoever does this, is that we need to stop drug testing people on pretrial probation and parole for THC. That needs to be part of legalization. Governor Hickenlooper just signed a bill to exclude medical marijuana patients from pretrial probation and drug testing for marijuana. This is critical. And also workplace drug testing for marijuana. This is an issue that Mayor Kenney just spoke up about this week. So we have to encourage businesses. Now, we can't order businesses to do things like this, but what we can do is encourage businesses to do it and then create a better framework, I guess.
Chris, you just hit the nail on the head. Before you guys got here, we were talking about the advocacy side too, not just on educating legislators, and that's changed, right? I mean, you've been in this game for a very long time. You've seen the conversations change. But even in the business community now, there's smarter questions being asked. It used to be, hey, we want to talk to you about marijuana legalization. And they go, yeah, thanks, no way. And they walk away. Now the conversations are, well, how does this work? I mean, I'll give you an example. My law firm has a policy where we have a strict no drug policy. I don't know what that means, by the way. We also have a policy you can't drink in the office. And I can tell you, I've been to functions in my office where there was alcohol being served. So I think what we're starting to do, and by the way, going back to the legal side, lawyers have a responsibility that advocate for clients on behalf of employment law issues, right? To be able to talk to their clients and say, well, listen, here's what your employment memo or your employment guide should look like now, right? And you're going to modify these based on the new law that's getting there. So we have a public education process. Some of this will be rooted in law. Some of it won't, as you just said. Some of this is an education where we've got to work with the business associations. We've got to work with the law firms and let them know that, hey, here's what, maybe this is a model employment manual, right? And this is how you deal with these things. And we can update everything as we go as we're updating the law as well.
Yeah, and it has to be part of the conversation, though, too. One of the great things about this argument to get businesses to stop workplace drug testing, and one of the best test grounds for it has been the NFL. The NFL Players Association has been lobbying as a union, essentially, for this. And I think that might be the key, too. When we talk about reaching out to businesses, once we legalize marijuana in New Jersey, you're going to see the large unions of New Jersey start to stand up for their members, not getting fired or having all these things happen in the workplace.
Yes.
But again, we've seen at hearings, what is it, like the restaurant insurance advocates who come out and testify against this. They're worried about people smoking a joint and then cutting their finger off in a deli slicer or something like that. That fails to acknowledge reality. And that also has to be part of the debate. One of the things that we're watching in Massachusetts this week is a really scary set of legislation going through up there that was sort of pulled back, where they tried to increase taxes by 56%.
I saw.
And have people's home cultivation, if you want to home cultivate marijuana, you'd have to have an electrical contractor sign off on an inspection of it and things like that. So we and also, even in Colorado, I mean, we can't act like legalization is the end point for all of the issues for consumers.
Agreed.
And if we want to do things better than other states have, we have to take into consideration what they left out. Colorado left out social use. That's a major problem. And it may be kind of a fun issue for the city of Denver to deal with, but social use of marijuana and the right to consume. Right now, these bills are a right to buy. But what rights do consumers have to consume? If you live in a multi-apartment dwelling in Hoboken, New Jersey, where can you go?
Well, Ken offered a really important one. What if you're homeless? And how do you deal with that? But I think that one of the things that we talked about too is this process. I mean, Jim Miller was sitting here before. I met Jim back in the late 90s, early 2000 when I worked for Congressman Andrews. And, I remember, as I joke with him, I'm being educated on it then. And that was a time period where no one wanted to talk about medicinal, right, which is now polling in 93% or something. We have moved hearts and minds collectively as a movement. I think we have changed, and we're getting there. But we're not there. We said earlier that we may have done some damage to this argument by making this argument that this is inevitable. It's happening, right? Jersey's, we're close. We're not there yet. We've got to keep moving forward. And the bill that Senator Scutari has put forward now is another step forward towards that, but it's not perfection. He said, and I think what he's challenged us to do, which we're working on, I know you guys are working on, is let's go bring others to the table. So let's get these business communities that have these sort of false flags about zombies walking around or smoking in the parking lot. Let's deal with them. Let's deal with it on a factual basis, and we've got good advocates that are doing that. And it's not just dudes in suits. It's doctors. It's fathers, right, that have devoted their life to doing what they're doing and are beyond frustrated. It's medical professionals like Ken. There's a whole movement that's going. But we're also bringing other legislators to the table now that have started to wake up and focus on this is coming. If I'm not for it, let me tell you why, and let's start articulating my issues. And there are folks out there that, if I am for it, then let's come to the table and start being for it. Let's be supportive of it. Let's sign on to a bill. If you have issues, we talked about expungement, and you made some really important points about the difference between auto expungement and our current expungement, how cost prohibitive it is to folks juxtaposed against what we're seeing and who's getting essentially caught up in the criminal justice system is mostly the poor. We've got work to do, but we've got to do that work. I think what we've got to do is bring votes in the legislature, advocacy groups to the table that are going to champion some of these issues to get them done too.
Yeah, the expungement, right now, expungement in New Jersey, if we offered expungement for the hundreds of thousands of people who have a marijuana conviction on their record, under the current scheme of expungement, most of them won't get their records expunged. And, well, I mean, on one hand, it might be a really big boon for the lawyers of New Jersey who are all, going to do that.
Sure.
But with hundreds of thousands of expungement cases, trying to get it done one at a time, lawyer by lawyer, I mean, hundreds of thousands of cases, it'd take 50 years. We have to have a methodology, and it will clog up the court system worse than our marijuana arrests are right now. So if we really want to have expungement work as a vehicle to alleviate these records and deal with the social justice aspect of this, we have to follow the model of California, where it is automatic, it's also en masse. Rather than each of these cases being considered in court individually, tens of thousands are wiped out at a time. So that's how you can efficiently do it for the court system of New Jersey, and how you can actually get low-income people with a record to get it wiped out.
We're not as progressive as California.
Come on. Yes, we are.
I wish I could say we were. I get the sense, though, this is an issue, by the way, on its own that has, and I think you pointed out, there's movements going on in the legislature right now, separate and apart from marijuana legalization, on expungement reform. We've seen bail reform. And I get the sense that if this isn't in a robust form in Senator Scutari or Regishore or Assemblyman Michael Patrick or whomever else jumps into this game, I get the sense that expungement reform is becoming a hot topic in Trenton in and of itself. That's going to move.
I mean, when the governor's supporting it's hilarious. But especially
it may not
when
be helpful at 15% approval rating, but we'll see.
Yeah,
right?
copy all that. But but the problem is that the expungement reform bills also use the current scheme, which is you have to wait 5 to 10 years, and you also have to pay a lawyer to do it.
Those are his, by the way. That's what I mean.
Right. Copy that.
Yeah.
So again, if we're going to have expungement be a part and parcel with marijuana legalization, it has to have language that deals with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people are going to flood the system looking for expungement right away. That's not, it doesn't happen like that for other stuff.
Right.
So we really have to consider that when we look at expungement for this. But also too, we have to stop in some ways. I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable, especially look at the Massachusetts debate and what's happening in California, even the home grow debates in Colorado now from the Department of Revenue out there. We've done a really good job of demonizing the underground market, and I think that's wrong. Yes, there are criminal actors in the underground marijuana market, but heck, our New Jersey recycling programs was like controlled by the Russian mafia here too. So what are we going to do?
So is our presidency.
Yeah, get rid of aluminum cans. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I can't say that the way to eliminate the underground market is to simply bring a retail market online. What we're missing is the ability to legitimize the underground growers and suppliers who are in America today in every neighborhood. We've taken it as we're going to legalize marijuana and we're going to shut down the underground market. But we're giving no pathway to everybody in the underground market. Small scale growers, small scale suppliers. These are not people who make $1 million selling weed.
Right.
They get by, they supplement their income selling marijuana to a small group of people in their own friend group or something like that. This needs some pathway to legitimacy in order for us to seriously transition the underground market to the sunlight and into a taxed and regulated market if that's what we're going to do, and also have some avenues for giving it away and growing it yourself where the taxation isn't a burden in and of itself.
I think we're getting to all of those places. I think that one of the concerns that we've dealt with, I work with NJUMR, an organization that advocates for a lot of these things. But on the issue of making sure that folks that are involved in we'll call it illicit sale at this point, can transition to the new world, we were just chatting about all the different impediments that come into play. And one of the ways that I think they're finding a smart balance here in this legislation is dealing with local zoning, right? Now, there are pendulum swings you can have that I think would potentially kill the bill. For the senator to put a bill in and say we're going to have inherent use, right? That means essentially if you want to cite one of these, you decide you want a dispensary in that building over there and you bought it, you come in and you do it. I think that would kill this bill. I think that the local municipal, local government lobbies would come in and destroy that because of these still hard feelings and NIMBY issues. But the balance has to be, big corporate giant comes in, they have the ability to hire mega law firms and come in and sue and pressure and donate tons of money and get what they want. We've seen, frankly, a lot of that in the current medicinal systems that have gone on here in neighboring regions.
Or alcohol and tobacco in Nevada and Massachusetts.
Bingo.
So, yeah.
I think what we've got to focus on, and I think this is where smart lawmakers and smart lawyers are going to come together with the advocate community and say, hey, how does a small business owner, how does a young Latino kid that grew up in Camden, that's now selling on the street at 15 years old, right? Maybe will graduate from high school, maybe not. but wants to establish a business in Camden, by the way. Okay, so we're having this revitalization in Camden City. How does he get to be a part of that dream? How does he get to be a part of that economy? Doing something that he's built a skill set on, perhaps illegitimately right now, but we're transitioning. How does he do that? And I think the ability is going to be small business set-asides, minority set-asides that will go into this legislation that will be robust, and the addition to make sure that there's an ability to navigate through the morass of local municipal zoning, that he's not going to be shut out.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the key for local municipal zoning right there. And again, the pendulum can go the other way here, Bill, where in Massachusetts they've set up the municipalities to have so much say in it that they're going to ban completely. They won't create any zoning for any marijuana, retail in their town. So you really have to, again, you do have to have that fine balance. But also, too, when the municipalities come in and say where the zoning can be and how you get into the market, we have to stop saying set-asides. We have to start recognizing that minority business involvement needs to be at the front of the issue rather than a set-aside.
I agree with you. Well, and when I say that,
we're calling for some kind of affirmative action for minorities.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one, too, because, again, affirmative action is something that says that a certain portion, 20% of these things are given out, and that's how it's doled out. But that's not the reality of a community like Camden.
No.
A community like Camden is not 20% minority.
No.
So a community like Camden needs to have like 20% white people get.
Well,
right.
Chris,
affirmative action in the inner cities for minorities.
There's a balance, because I think what you start with is you have to create a baseline in state law, right? But let's talk about Camden City. Camden City has an ability to put their own level of involvement into this as well through local codes. And I think you're going to see some of that, and I think that we're going to have to continue to navigate there. I think the problem is, and I say the word set aside when we talk about affirmative action, these are words that these folks inside this building understand in terms of how these things are set up. But I think I said to you, they have to be more robust than what we've done in the past.
Yeah, that's our job here. With marijuana
Absolutely.
reform, we have a real opportunity to create new language for a lot of social justice issues and push it beyond where it's been for 30 years. This gives us the opportunity to really, again, when you talk about expungement, the concept of having to expunge 300,000 records in a year is something that we've never had to deal with. But that's something that, Senator Scutari's bill passes could happen.
Yeah.
So, again, that's what's great about marijuana reform, and that's why I work on it. As a social justice issue, to me, it gives you the opportunity to pull that wrench out of all these cogs that have been jammed up for so many years in politics because of various drug policy. But and back to the treatment issue, I think that this is a very, very key aspect of this. If we pass legalization, and this has been a real problem in Colorado and in other places, if we pass legalization without any addressment of drug testing in the workplace and drug testing on probation, parole, and pretrial, we're literally going to run into worse problems than Colorado did for consumers, because we have more of them here. And the other thing that Colorado didn't, what's funny, I was chatting with somebody about this today. I think it was Peter Rosenfeld. Peter's like, oh, well, Colorado, one of the biggest complaints is that the neighboring states, they don't want the Oklahomans going to Colorado and buying marijuana. New Jersey is taking a different approach. We want, I think it's like a fifth of sales are planned to be for Pennsylvania residents or something like that.
Well, I'm not sure the state folks have offered that, but we did a joint project with pun intended, New Jersey Policy Perspective. I think did some phenomenal analysis. And listen, you got to be truthful about this. We could have said, nope, we're not going to see increased use. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. We're not going to see people from out of state coming in. We owned it. We said, you are going to see all this stuff. Here's what you're going to see, and here's what it looks like. And I think we came up with as accurate a picture of what potential revenue could be in a ballpark of baseline $300 million to as much as $1 billion. How narrow is that? But it's the thing I'd love to be able to see at some point would be reciprocity among our neighboring jurisdictions.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
I have an article. I have an article coming out today at Philly.com about a medical marijuana patient from Maine. And it's just striking, because what you hear out there is that, and it's true, it was a rare case. Medical marijuana patients are rarely arrested at airports when they're carrying their medical marijuana. Often it's confiscated or something like that.
Yeah.
But this patient happened to be, she was flying home to Maine from Newark Liberty on Sunday, while Air Force One was sitting on the tarmac at the very same moment. and the TSA found 7 grams of marijuana in her checked bag. You know how you get those notes? You know, you'll fly sometimes. It's like,
Yes.
hey, the TSA was here.
Yes.
I know a lot of cannabis consumers and medical marijuana patients that have gotten that note. They don't get arrested, but their marijuana's gone. You know what I mean?
Is it confiscated or is
yeah,
it
yeah,
confiscated?
yeah.
I do the air quotes.
Exactly. And I know plenty of people who've gotten those notes, and the marijuana's still there, too, honestly.
Okay.
So because the TSA's official line, and it's probably true, is that they're not looking for drugs.
Yeah.
You know, but they're invariably, when they're slipping their fingers between millions of people's clothes and toiletries, they're going to find some marijuana. What happens next? Well, they don't call federal law enforcement. They don't call the Department of Homeland Security and make a federal case out of it. They hand you over to local police. And in the case of Newark's airport, it was the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. This is all very interesting because we had a guy who was running for mayor of Philadelphia a couple times, Sam Katz.
Sure, I saw the
Yeah,
story.
and he got a decrim ticket because it's the Philadelphia police who cover the airport in Philadelphia. Port Authority in New York and New Jersey, of course, covers LaGuardia and the tunnels and everything like that. What's interesting about them is that they're empowered to enforce the local law on either side of the Hudson. So if you get caught with a small amount of marijuana in LaGuardia, you get a summons to court and under the 1979 decrim code that's up there and things like that. But in New Jersey, they have to take you into their police station, which is a separate building at Newark's airport. So this woman spent 7 hours in custody, and she had her glasses taken away. She was told she was being arrested, all because they found 7 grams in her checked bag. So she's getting ready to get on her flight. A TSA agent in a gray suit comes up to the podium and calls her name. Will Susan Feener come up to the podium? And she goes up, and he goes, well, I have to turn you over to the police because marijuana was found in your luggage downstairs. 7 hours in custody. Her glasses were taken away. And then finally, after about 5 or 6 hours, they called the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. And I talked to Catherine Carter, who's a spokeswoman over there. And, they confirmed that they got a call, and they told the police that they would not file any charges because the woman had a registration card from Maine medical marijuana program, which is voluntary, by the way, up there. You don't have to register for the Maine program.
Okay.
They have a Medical Marijuana Patient Privacy Protection Act.
Okay.
Because so many registered patients were losing their housing and things like that.
We were talking about this before. There's a stigma attached to this.
There is, and that's why California actually just announced that under their regulatory scheme, they're probably going to eliminate county registration cards for the medical marijuana program in California, which I don't think is a good idea because, again, in this case, even though New Jersey doesn't have reciprocity right now, the fact that Susan Feener had her Maine medical marijuana card was all the Essex County prosecutor needed to say, whatever,
It's
have a
not
nice
worth
day.
our time, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the fact that she was detained at all and held in custody in a small cell at the airport, missed her flight,
Absolutely.
Was just crazy. And
suffered financial hardship as a result of that. I mean, she lost a flight. She probably had to get a hotel room or something, right?
No, actually, I will say this. United Airlines employees were spectacular with her.
Well, you don't hear that every day.
Yeah, they
so.
were. No, I used to work for United, so I won't take that personally.
Nice,
but
nice.
What do you call? They said that they were spectacular with her. They were appalled at her treatment by TSA and the Port Authority police. They rebooked her for free. They gave her $20 worth of meal vouchers. And here was the really weird part. The TSA, when all this was done and she was getting driven back to the airport, she asked where her checked bag was, where they found the marijuana. And they said, the Port Authority's like, I don't know. And they referred her to TSA. She goes to TSA, and they say, it's United's problem. So then she goes to United because they couldn't rebook her ticket without finding her bag. United found that the bag went on her flight to Portland. So it was already, she missed her flight, but her bag didn't. So kudos to United and also the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, who really had a great understanding of what was happening here.
Yeah, it was smart.
But again, because the Air Force One was on the ground, I think that there was maybe a by-the-book approach by Port Authority police that day. The spokesperson, Joe Pantangelo, who was a former New York City beat cop, who's the spokesperson for the Port Authority police, said that it's uncommon but not remarkable to find small amounts of marijuana in these situations, but they said it was the first time they've ever dealt with an out-of-state medical marijuana patient. Both the prosecutor's office and the Port Authority said it's the first time. That's hard for me to believe, though. I mean, Newark's one of the highest traffic airports in the country, and the idea that so many medical marijuana patients are probably flying in and out of there every day, either they're really careful or it is. I don't know. It's just funny. Or this is the first one that was willing to speak up afterwards.
Maybe,
you know what I mean? She teaches women in gender studies and economics at the University of South Maine and is a self-described progressive. So that's why she called me on the phone to relay the story. But yeah, medical marijuana patients face discrimination, and that's what comes to full legalization too. Unless we deal with the consumer issues of drug testing, unless we deal with the right to consume in urban environments, At the end of the day, we're really missing out on the most important aspects of ending discrimination. It's not okay that cannabis consumers are expected to shell out $300 million to fill state coffers for taxes and then walk out into the world and endure a minefield of discrimination from various law enforcement, from their workplace, from all these other things. So again, if we expect to have New Jersey make all this money off of consumers, the legislation and the state has to do something back for consumers. And the one thing that we can do back is end all these discriminatory practices.
It makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate to run.
We got to run too. So, but Lefty, where are you, man?
There is some language in the bill to add some type of workplace protection. It says that an employer can't take an adverse action unless the employer has a rational basis for doing so. Which
Right.
Is reasonably
The
related to
loopholes
the
in there.
employee.
Yeah. I mean, that's
know.
the problem with the language.
Yeah.
It's the same workplace protection language we have in Act 16 in Pennsylvania for medical marijuana, but it's toothless. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we
So
have to deal with that.
quickly, are you going to testify at the Senate Judiciary hearing on Monday?
Yeah, both Ricky and I are planning 2 minutes of testimony. It sounds like they changed the committee room around to 10 a.m. because it sounds like lots of people want to testify. I mean, I'm a little worried, in these other hearings in these other hearings, we've seen a lot of out-of-state industry folks come in. MJ Freeway, which won the contract for seed-to-sale tracking under the Pennsylvania Medical Marijuana Program, came out and testified at like every hearing. I think that, and these IPOs and these publicly traded companies, that's what's tough about these hearings now. When you talk about legalization, the local voices are often drowned out by the out-of-state industry folks. So I think it's important that when we have these debates, we also have to make sure that legalization is New Jersey focused. The reason Colorado is such a wonderful model is because it allowed Colorado residents to innovate in business. It's a free market. We have this incredible thing that legislators fly out and go see because it's such a robust free market and because Colorado residents were given the power to innovate. If New Jersey residents aren't given that same opportunity and out-of-state industry cuts off and heads them off at the pass from even trying to develop our own market, we won't be able to innovate here. And New Jersey is a powerhouse of innovation, so I don't want us to lose out on all of this. I don't want everybody in New Jersey to have to be low-level, entry-level jobs in an industry that's controlled by out-of-state interests.
What brings you to Trenton today?
Well said.
Well, I'm here to talk about this bill and expungement. So we're going to meet with some legislators and some staffers today to talk about the expungement bills. The flight of expungement bills from, as oddly touted by Governor Christie, is something that we really want to have happen. One of the things about the legalization bill and with Scutari's bill and any bill in these states, no one legalization bill has been like the string theory to solve all of the problems of prohibition. And what you see with the expungement issue is that it's actually 3 bills. So like when we talk about expungement reform, it's Senate Bill 3307, 3308, and 3309. So why we're trying to solve all of our problems with one piece of legislation, I don't think that, I'd like to see a flight of legalization bills here in New Jersey. One that deals with the expungement and discrimination issues, one that deals specifically with retail, and one that deals specifically with home cultivation and non-remunerative transfer. So a couple of things we're going to bring up Monday. I'm going to bring up some of those drug testing stats, and we're going to talk about having drug testing eliminated. And there's also one big word that we're going to bring up Monday, and that's sunshine, Ken. Saying that all marijuana cultivation for the retail market and for home cultivation has to be inside is not a good idea for a million different reasons, and we can start to lay those out. But one of the greatest reasons for sun-grown marijuana is that the federal government's marijuana program at the University of Mississippi at Oxford, most of the marijuana is grown outside. So even the federal government grows their marijuana in the sun, and I don't think that we should insist that all the marijuana in New Jersey be grown under lights and indoors.
Right. And there should be some type for provision for secure gardens, secure outdoor gardens.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Colorado and Oregon, there are clear rules that you can grow marijuana plants in your backyard. I mean, I don't think it's. I really don't think this is rocket science here. You know what I mean? It's not. And again, those states are still dealing with massive black market economies because they failed to legitimize the illicit local growers and sellers. So we have to have a pathway to legitimacy for everybody who is already, again, the underground marijuana economy is bigger, more efficient, far more robust, and far more a part of every community than underground alcohol was in the 20s. It's just, 10 years, the short period of alcohol prohibition in the United States didn't allow the alcohol underground market to do what marijuana's underground market's done the last 100 years. I like the underground market in some ways.
It's a difficult question, Chris, because part of the motivation for this legalization bill is to do away with the black market, to legitimize the sales.
Legitimizing sales is great, but we have to legitimize the current underground players. You know what I mean? And again, this isn't rocket science in New Jersey. We did this with gambling. We did this with the lottery. We did this with so many different issues where we tried to eliminate the criminal influence in high-dollar markets.
I don't know that we did it with gambling. I mean, no, seriously.
No,
Chris,
you're right. You're right. We have, and even recycling. I mean, I agree. So, but the sports betting thing that's also happening now plays into the marijuana debate pretty well. Governor Christie is trying to allow sports betting here in New Jersey and get sort of a federal exemption for that and get permission, I guess, a blessing from the federal government. At the same time, he wants to use the same rules against marijuana legalization. Right. So, there's a lot of interesting politics happening for this right now. But we're going to hand you back to these guys because we got to run inside.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by. It's
we'll
always a pleasure
back.
to see you. Okay, great, Ricky and Ricky Rivera and Chris Goldstein.
Wow. What more can you say?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, Chris is great. Now, Professor Goldstein from Temple University, teaching a course in marijuana at Temple University. So 22 sessions at 90 minutes apiece. Never runs out of things to say about marijuana.
Wow. Well,
and we're very glad to hear that he's going to be here on Monday to testify at Senator Scutari's Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on S3195, the bill to legalize marijuana in New Jersey. So he's got a lot of good ideas and a voice that must be heard.
Ed Fortune also has court on Monday. Ed Fortune is sitting in jail right now with no bail, a political prisoner.
Over 100 days in jail now.
Yeah.
With no bail. Yeah, and I understand he's on a hunger strike. Yeah. That can be very serious. That really can seriously impact his health, and
yeah.
Very, very concerned about that. So
he's a cancer patient.
Right. And obviously he's being denied his medical marijuana that he was using in California, that he was using here in New Jersey. And, now that he's in prison for over 3 months, he's not been able to use the medicine that's been helping him.
No.
So, here inmates are entitled to community standard of medical care. I mean, I worked in the medical department of the Department of Corrections for 22 years in New Jersey. So, I'm well aware of the importance of, meeting the inmates' needs for their medical care. The Department of Corrections did not want to spend the money for the antiretroviral treatment for AIDS patients, and the AIDS inmates sued the Department of Corrections, and they won their suit. And they said, no, the state of New Jersey has to pay for this expensive antiviral treatment. And I'm sure that if there was another suit that said, they need marijuana for conditions that the Department of Health recognizes marijuana as being safe and effective for, that the inmates would win that suit. So I'm just surprised that Fortune and maybe some of the other inmates who have medical conditions that would respond to marijuana therapy, are not pursuing a legal demand for this in the court system, in the prisons and jails in New Jersey.
How long did they have to wait for just to get this lawsuit finalized?
It really wasn't that long. It was, in the whole scheme of things, you mean the AIDS patients who...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it came out pretty quickly because, the AIDS patients were well organized and very vocal about the need for some type of treatment, because at the time in the late 80s and the early 90s, there was no treatment at all for AIDS. So it was a death sentence. And I know that when I was... in 1992 to 96, I was working at New Jersey State Prison in Trenton, as a nurse supervisor, and I would call AIDS patients down and review their lab work with them. And to me, there was no, it was a death sentence for them. And yet, when the antiretroviral drugs came out, it provided tremendous hope for these patients and actually kept them alive. It changed it from a fatal illness to a chronic illness. It made all the difference in the world, just as marijuana therapy can make all the difference in the world to patients who require it now. So, I certainly hope that they pursue this and they make it available. It's not a question of smoking marijuana in the jails for the inmates. Nobody's saying that. But now lozenges are available, 10 milligram lozenges. There's, the nurses in the prisons and other institutions in New Jersey, they routinely give out controlled substances to contribute. Yes, they even give it to children in schools. So it's nurses are trained to give these controlled substances, to account for them, to monitor the patients when they have side effects and adverse effects, and there's no reason in the world why this therapy can't be available to patients and inmates in New Jersey's institutions, group homes, and all types of institutions.
Ken, what type of effects is Ed going to have from a hunger strike? What's he going to be feeling after a few days?
Well, obviously weakness. He could start to have different cardiac complications because of a lack of the appropriate electrolytes in his body. It could be a fatal condition. If it depends on how he's maintaining this, what type of fluids he's drinking. Usually patients who are on hunger strikes will allow themselves fluids, and if the fluids have the proper electrolytes, you can maintain life for a surprisingly long period of time, depending on your overall condition when you start the hunger strike. But obviously, it can lead to weakness, increasing weakness, leading to a coma and leading to death.
How many days can Ed Fortune live without water?
Without water, only about 3 days, maybe 2 or 3 days. But without food, you can last for quite a long time.
So Ed Fortune could last how long without food?
Well, it's hard to say, depending on his condition going into it. But it could be weeks.
Weeks.
Yeah.
And what would happen to Ed after 2 weeks of not eating? What would happen to Ed Fortune? What would he be like after 2 weeks?
Well, obviously he'd be emaciated, extremely weak, maybe not even able to stand. So, they have tried to get court orders to intubate and, that is to say, put a feeding tube in and to feed the person parenterally against their will. So, I'm not sure where the courts stand on that right now, whether or not the Department of Corrections is able to do that. At a certain point, they would probably transfer the patient to a hospital from the jail that he's in. Right now, he's in Mercer County Correctional Center. It's the county jail up the river on 29. So,
have you seen other hunger strikes while you were in the prison working?
No, but I know that prison officials take hunger strikes very seriously.
Yeah.
And they're very concerned about this. First of all, it doesn't look good. It's placing the inmate at a risk of dying. While he's in under the care of this prison facility. So.
Yeah.
That's it's a very serious concern. To the prison officials, and they should, they obviously, they should address his concerns. He's being held without bail. He's not for something that there was not even a court order that he not do until after the fact. It just seems so unfair, the whole situation with Ed Fortune and why he's being incarcerated now for over 3 months, being deprived of his medicine, being deprived of his constitutional rights, he believes, and many people in the community believe along with him.
Why aren't they following the Constitution here in this town?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously there's a great deal of animosity towards Ed Fortune, among members of law enforcement. He was publicly giving them the finger and calling one or more police officers in Trenton pedophiles, and he certainly has a way of antagonizing people who might actually be supporters of him. But the police department in Trenton has been targeting his restaurant, with harassment and trying to close him down because of various disputes that he's been involved in.
No chicken wings after 11.
Yeah, they say that he can't, sell his products after 11 o'clock, and he maintains that he is a religious temple that should be open for services at any time.
No chicken wings for you.
So it's a problem. The question is, is this being done as harassment to Ed Fortune?
Oh, yeah, it's racism, it's classism, and it's political payback, because Ed Fortune alone could get 5,000 votes in this town. Trenton only had 9,000 people vote in the last election. 9,000 people. So they know that Ed Fortune could win this town easily as a council member or the mayor. And they're afraid of him, as well they should be. It's a shame. We're going to be dressing up as Jesus, by the way. So you know, Monday, we're going to have 4 out of 5 Jesuses here.
So you are going to have the podcast on Monday during
Yeah, right here.
during the committee hearing?
Yep.
Great. Glad to hear it. So that should be very interesting. So what time what time are you going to have the podcast? I know the committee hearing is scheduled to start at 10 o'clock in the morning now. So just so you know, in committee room number 4, I understand.
Okay.
And
We should be out here normal time then, I guess, like 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
Would that work?
Yeah, sure. It'll probably go on for a couple of hours, I would assume, probably from 10 to 12. It should be over by 12. So people who want to testify are reminded to bring 20 copies of their written testimony to distribute to the members of the committee, and also that if they want to verbally address the committee, that they can sign up just before the committee hearing, and they will be usually given about 2 minutes to address the committee. So, prepare for this. Prepare, have your written comments, 20 copies of it ready to distribute at the committee, and practice your 2-minute presentation, because basically that's usually all you get.
Okay, Ken, ready, go. 2 minutes. Let's hear it. Ready, go.
Let's
put the pressure on.
I haven't practiced, but
Good. This is good practice right now. Go ahead.
Well. Thank you for this opportunity to address the committee. I first would like to say that we're certainly in favor of Senator Scutari's bill to legalize marijuana in New Jersey, and we're very grateful for it. The Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey has been we are a nonprofit educational organization, and we did not take a stand on legalization of marijuana until 2014 when we endorsed it. We believe that legalization of marijuana is the best way to get the right medicine to the most people. It's the most efficient and effective way to meet the needs of the patients who require marijuana therapy. We have a couple of concerns about the bill. One is that it does not allow for the public consumption of marijuana. We think that this is very wrong, and it just criminalizes patients who may be homeless patients and have no private area that they can retreat to. So you're saying that they have to use it. They can't use it in public, but they have no private residence. People in Section 8 housing and in other subsidized housing are not permitted to use marijuana inside their houses, and now they can't use it in their house and they can't use it outside their house. It just doesn't work for these people. And also if there are health problems in the homes, for example, elderly people or children in the homes who cannot use it, it needs to be used. We're looking for affirmative action programs for people in the inner city communities that have been devastated by the war on marijuana. And we'd also like to suggest some amendments to the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act that would restore home cultivation for qualified patients, at recognition of out-of-state ID cards, an expansion of the qualifying conditions to what S119, the original bill that was approved by the Senate in 2009, be restored as amendments to the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act. And also, we want to reschedule marijuana in New Jersey and allow for any doctor or advanced practice nurse to recommend it. It was about 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Wow, that's how it's done, professional. I'm like, ready, go, and then Ken just goes. There you go. Was it more than 2 minutes?
A few seconds over.
That was beautiful. Wow.
So I'll have to work on it to try to get it down to 2 minutes.
Awesome, man. Yes, we are ready.
But those are the points that I want to make.
Right. Good points.
That prohibition on public use is really very unfortunate, and we hope that they do away with that. Where would a person in the houses where you smoke, where you live, for example, Dan, where would a person use marijuana? You can't use it you can't use it in your home, and because you live in subsidized housing, and you can't use it on the street. So this really just sets you up for being arrested. Here we are. We're supposed to be legal marijuana users. You're supposed to use it for maybe you use it for medical reasons. Homeless people can't participate in the medicinal marijuana program. They have no home to get an ID card to submit to the Department of Health. They can't get a card.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So let alone meet all the doctors all the doctors visits. So it just makes it so difficult for people who like Dan who live in subsidized housing to you say you have legal marijuana, but you can't use it in your house and you can't use it outside your house. How is it legal?
How is he going to afford it? First of all, you can't afford it.
Right.
I can barely afford it.
Right.
I'm going broke. I want to just grow it. I want to grow 6 plants, and I'd be happy.
Yeah. And so, we hope that Senator Scutari will be open to, amending his bill to allow for home cultivation for any adult. But we understand that he has a great many concerns about that. And if he's not going to do that, then at a minimum allow it for registered patients, who have an ID card from the Department of Health. They could have a tag on the 6 plants. You could pay for the tag, but police could just come by and see do these plants have tags on them. That's certainly one way to get around the law enforcement concerns about whether or not how to know a legitimate plant from an illegitimate plant, and. So, right, Dan, a fellow like you would not have a legal place to use marijuana, even if it was legalized. If you can't use it in your apartment, you live in subsidized housing, and you can't use it in public, where would you go? Where would you go to use it?
Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Yoo-hoo. Okay. Our sister building, I live in a high-rise, owned by the same company, has instituted a no smoking within 20 feet of the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we still allow it in where I'm at.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Okay. Well, you allow cigarette smoking.
Cigarette smoking.
Yeah. Right. So, well, that's what we're arguing for. That marijuana smoking should be allowed any place where cigarette smoking is allowed. Any place in the outdoors where you can smoke cigarettes, you should be allowed to smoke medical marijuana or marijuana for adults.
And we got them stovetop things, that suck air. So I think they get rid of a lot of smoke too.
Now, can you smoke cigarettes inside your building? Can you smoke it in your apartment?
Yeah.
Oh, you can smoke it in your apartment. So, that's
I was thinking that doesn't necessarily mean it should be conversely true. I think there are places where cannabis should be allowed to be smoked where cigarettes aren't, because it's more dangerous. And that would be detrimental to the health of the cannabis smokers, where the cannabis would not be as detrimental to their health. So it's a gimme that they should be able to smoke where tobacco is smoked, but doesn't mean they're welcome at our circle.
Yeah, at a minimum.
That's just making a point. They would be welcome.
You're funny.
I know too many people that combine the two. I got to tell you what, I'm sorry to stand away from the podcast this long, and it's not the personal family issues. It's that this has been the biggest all-star cast we've had of people that, like, when I went across the street and Lefty was over there and looked up and says, kidding around, "Who's driving the bus?" Because neither of us are there. All I could say is, yeah, the 4 instructors from the driving academy are driving the bus themselves right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, I looked around and I said, man, in my own mind, I would be 5th in a line of who I would want at the table, including me. You know, oh man, that was awesome.
Hello there.
And it's still, it still is, you know. Our news director has been here all day.
Are you a patient?
To keep the wheels on the bus.
No?
Are you live?
Yes, we're live on the air. Can we ask you a question?
I'm not here to talk about medical marijuana,
Mike.
but
Give her a mic.
I was distressed when I heard one of you talking about artificial wombs. I am here to support Planned Parenthood.
Ah, yes.
And I found that was kind of an irreverent.
Yeah, how do you feel about the
and
artificial womb?
unnecessary- What?
How do you feel about the artificial womb?
It's something that I haven't much thought about. I
Oh.
know that there are some children who are born very prematurely
Right.
who need something like that, but I did feel that the way in which you gentlemen, if I may
No,
use
just
that
me.
term,
It was just me.
were using the term was inappropriate. So
How
I
so?
just
How
thought
so?
I would
No, how so? I
stop
just.
and say that.
Okay, but how so? How was I inappropriate?
I just felt that you were making fun of a serious issue, and I didn't like it.
No. I think that's the answer to the abortion problem is the artificial womb. That's how I feel.
Well,
I'm
the solution to the abortion problem is better and more birth control and more responsible behavior on the part of people who are having
Yeah.
sexual
Thank you.
relations.
I
So
appreciate you
that's,
combined saying this.
Yeah.
And then
That's
Thank
my
you.
strong
May I?
feeling.
But
I agree.
I want to say why is one. I heard it as being one of the, and I know Lefty well. He is really very much wanting to ask a pragmatic question, but sometimes it comes out challenging where it's not meant to sound challenging. But for you to point that out helps you and me
Yeah.
educate Lefty.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
So thank you so much.
if I took offense when I ought not
No,
to,
no,
No, I'm
but
glad you came
but no.
by. Thank you.
But
I was disturbed.
It
okay?
is a good example of how when people with, when I say separate but similar issues,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's okay. My advice, as an example, my mom just died, and I'm good with that because it was time. But when people say, "I know how you feel," I just no, you don't. So if we thought we know how you feel because you're passionate enough to be here, as are we, doesn't mean that we necessarily know what to say and how not to say it.
Yes.
And thanks for coming and expressing that.
You're,
Yeah. Well,
I feel that
That was
too much
very,
of our political
yeah.
discourse
But he
is,
didn't, and he,
Yes. I didn't mean nothing by it.
See, he says, I didn't mean nothing by it.
I didn't.
And I'm backing him up on that.
he needs
I've
to
known
me.
Lefty a long way, and he's
I don't
genuinely,
even know what station you
yeah.
guys are.
Oh, we're independent right now on
Okay.
YouTube. Anybody that types in Sativa
okay.
Cross is watching right now, and they're
All
probably
right,
saying thank you
I
too.
hope it-
Yeah.
Is there a camera there too, or just?
Yeah, the camera. Or
Okay.
He's our,
that's Harry Anslinger. He holds the camera
that's
for
our
us.
cameraman.
Okay, all right.
Thanks for stopping by.
thank you for
Get
coming
over
back.
there. All
Yeah.
right, okay.
Thanks for
Thank you.
stopping by.
Bye.
Yeah, that was cool. What, did you break the mic again, Jim? What happened there? I
No,
see,
it
I see
can,
again you broke it.
Well, I had a
Second week in a row.
I didn't want to go like this with the microphone. I wanted to add in, so I had Ken give me his.
Good luck, Ken.
And when it wouldn't come out, he knew it was too important to do anything other than just pull it out and then.
Jim, I'm
fix
so
it.
glad she came back because that's my second issue. When I'm done, when cannabis is legalized, that's
Yeah.
my next issue. Is the abortion issue? Because I'm a Christian. I believe in that. I don't believe in changing the
Yeah.
laws. The laws are fine, but let's offer another choice, which is the artificial womb, another choice
Yeah.
for women.
You might need
That's all.
you might need a liaison to their group to let you know the ins and outs of Like if you went to Australia, you know not to eat tossed salad, whatever. I'm just saying. You want to know the.
transplanted people? They have that.
Yeah.
And by the way, Mike Alonso supports the artificial womb. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, a lot of people don't know there even is a such thing.
I know. She didn't know.
No.
So now she's going to Google it and find out. That's the answer, Jim.
Yeah.
That's the answer to the
but
abortion
you
issue.
can't say, if she didn't know and maybe other people don't know, and you say that to a group like that, a lot of people are going to take it as a comment, an insult.
But it worked.
But no, it works, but they don't even know it's real.
Right.
So you almost got to factor that in the beginning and say something like, I didn't believe the artificial womb was a real thing when I first heard about it, but it is.
Ah, there. Yeah. Okay.
And then roll from there.
Okay.
you know, because it's dealing with that.
I'm catching people walking by like
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, artificial womb? Yes or no? Yes. Or
Yeah,
no.
right.
I'm
So
like,
no, but
I don't know what to say. So,
no, well, yeah, that's,
but it is an issue for me.
Yeah, well, it is, but that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
If they don't know, it's gonna be taken like that, and you know, it's good to know, because if you only have a bullet point to say and it's
Right.
gonna get taken the wrong way,
Yeah.
you know, now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very constructive.
That was good stuff, man.
It was, you know. You know, the thing I think I like best about you, and there's really a small list, so it's probably right at the top, is that you always are willing to listen to somebody else's point without simply putting up a defense. You do that, and it's fun watching somebody do that and realize anything. Move a step to the left, a step to the right. You don't just sit on your stone wall and say, here's my opinion, I'm right, try to knock me off it. So in the process, that's when I've seen you educate people, mostly when you've sat and listened to them and they've listened to you, and you find common ground. People have stopped at our podcast before and been in lockstep with us. And it usually goes well, but I'm glad she did come over.
Oh yeah.
That was nice, you know. And like we say, it's always equal time and civility, and if we're wrong or say something that gives a wrong impression, it's good to find out, you know.
Yeah, I don't have an opposing view. I just have another choice to offer for everyone, really.
Well, also that as advocates of anything, you want to know what the other side's view would be, and you're not the other side.
No.
But it's always good to know what they might say, and if somebody opposed to what a group was doing, or you know, I mean, every group's got opposition, and you know, showing up is the first part, but knowing what the opposition would be and how to handle it is integral. And if somebody wants to use the artificial womb as a reason for not doing something, as an example, you need to know what it is, and is it viable, and in what context are you even saying, or artificial womb, yes or no. So it's really hard with bullet points, but
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm going to try to find out what it is, because it sounds like there are instances when it would be totally viable if it is. I mean, artificial heart.
Yeah.
At one point, that sounded Frankensteinish. It did, and then Christian Barnard changed the world. Well, I mean, he didn't. You know, Dr. Jarvik changed it.
The bionic
Dr. Barnard put in was it a Jarvik hardware? But it tended to give people enough time to get somewhere else, and in the case of an artificial womb, it'd give you enough time to go full term. So. It is pretty interesting.
It's an extra choice for women.
Well, somebody said, you know, as a cannabis, you're not taking something into account. Now, suppose it was Marinol, the advent of Marinol, 1985, synthetic THC. And if somebody said, and you didn't know, no, there's a synthetic THC, why not just that? You'd have to know it existed, and you'd have to know why not. And of course, there are lots of reasons why not.
My comparison.
Yeah, well, one being is it's not the whole plant, and as we know, THC and CBD worked in really good harmony for effects that you can't get with either by itself. And THC is the part that it makes it a little hard to be cognizant, and a lot of patients don't like that.
Right.
You know, especially if you have brain lesions in the first place, you don't want to lose what your cognitive ability you still have. So it's good to know the issues.
So Jim, moving on, we went to Haddon Heights the other day. Yesterday, for Anthony Poole's case. He's being prosecuted for his medical cannabis, and the court was in Oakland. The cops couldn't have been nicer in Oakland. Let me tell you something about the cops in Oakland. They were wonderful. They gave us a nice shade tree to smoke by, a little grassy area, grassy knoll.
Now, what was Oakland?
Beautiful.
I mean, you went to Haddon Heights. How does Oakland factor in? What are we talking about?
Oakland was the courthouse where the prosecutor was prosecuting him.
Okay.
And I actually went up to the prosecutor and I said, "Sir, why are you prosecuting this patient here?" And I stuck my hand out. He's like, who are you? I stuck my hand out. I'm Lefty Grimes. And my hand was out. And he says, well, I'm not here to talk to you. You're not a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to talk to blah, blah. And he left me hanging. First time in my life, I stood there like this, like an idiot. So I said, oh, his name is Matt Rooney.
Why don't you tell me
Do you
your
have press
Sativa Cross and show
credentials?
your credentials?
Yeah.
Do you have press credentials?
Yeah.
You ought to wear them.
I went downstairs and I
Because
got...
then you'd be a member of the press. And if he doesn't want to talk to the press, just say no comment, dude. That's what you say to the press.
Right. I have to make a phone call here to Madison, New Jersey. I think the clerk called me back. I believe it's the clerk. 862 area
Clerk
code.
of Oakland or Hatton Heights?
Oakland.
Yeah.
Where's Madison, New Jersey?
Oakland.
Is that down there? No. That's weird. Why don't I get a call from there?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. Well, let's call Haddon Heights, at least, and see if they can help us. I'd like to get a press pass for the court, and also I'd like to know why they're prosecuting a medical cannabis patient. I mean, really.
Well, you're not going to find out, but it's an interesting question, and they know they're being watched.
Yeah, let's let them know we're on to them.
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to use your A-level tact or your B-level tact?
We're going A game.
Okay, go A game. Well,
This is a follow-up, right?
Yeah.
It's all you.
This is a follow-up.
You're on the air. You're on the air.
Follow-up.
You're on the air.
D. Michelle.
Yes, hi, this is Lefty Grimes. You're on the air.
D. Michelle.
Yes, hello, can you hear? Oh, you're kidding me, right? That was my fault. Hold on. Dead air, William. Dead air.
What happened?
I screwed up, as usual. Let's try it again.
Well, take your time.
Sorry.
You're not taking your time, dude.
That was bad. It would help if I put the plug in.
D. Michelle.
Oh, sorry about that. This is Lefty Grimes. You're on the air. I'd like to speak to...
Hello, D. Michelle.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Lefty Grimes. Can you hear me? Oh, my God. Really? Okay, that's unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. Are my phones not working?
On many levels.
Is my phone not working? Let's check the phone system here. Hold on here. Let's even check if we have phones. Because now, it looks like we have phones here, but they're not hearing us. I don't understand why they can't hear us. We're going to call Honeybee, our co-host in Oregon. Let's see if she can hear us.
Hello.
Honeybee, can you hear us?
I sure can.
You can. So it is working.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
We just tried to call Anthony's prosecutor to ask him why he's being a racist idiot, and they couldn't hear us. So, okay, I'm just making sure you can hear us.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to call you back in a few. Thank you, Honeybee. All right,
Okay.
let's try this.
You're welcome.
Let's try this one more time. All right. Now, Honeybee heard us. Just saying.
That's a good thing, right?
All right, now we're going to call back Haddon Heights for the one more time. Let's see if they can hear us. It's embarrassing when it doesn't work. Makes me look bad.
Good afternoon, D. Michelle.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Lefty Grimes. You're on the air. Can I speak to Matt Rooney, please?
He is currently with a client. I can give you his voicemail if you'd like.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Hold on one second.
Yes, I want his voicemail. Give me that voicemail, baby. All right, here we go. We got Anthony's prosecutor's voicemail. This should be interesting. This guy totally disrespected me, and I was very respectful to him. I just asked him a question, and...
You've reached the voicemail of Matt Rooney. Please leave your name,
sounds like a little worm,
and a brief message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Leave your message, then hang up or press any key.
Hello, Mr. Rooney. This is Lefty Grimes from SativaCross.com. My phone number is 908-616-0682. I'd like to speak to you about your prosecution of our black friend Anthony You seem to be following Harry Anslinger's racist policies of the drug war, and you're prosecuting a black man who is a medical cannabis patient, and yet you're still going through with this prosecution. So we're calling you out, sir. Why are you doing this? Are you a racist, or are you just what is your issue? Are you a relative of Harry Anslinger? I can't believe that you're this obtuse that you're going to prosecute a medical cannabis patient. But I am a award-winning journalist, and I'd like to give you a chance to tell your side of the story. So, sir, give me a call back, and I want to hear what you have to say about your prosecution of a medical cannabis patient, and if you are a racist or not. And I met you in the courtroom, and for the first time in my life, I stuck my hand out to shake someone's hand, and you did not shake my hand. Now, did you just go to the bathroom or something? Did you have something on your hand that, like, poopy or something, that you couldn't shake my hand? Because I don't know. I wasn't trying to poop hand you. You could have shaken my hand. I don't know why you didn't shake my hand, but that was kind of disrespectful. You're paid by our money. You are not paid to disrespect the public you serve. You're here to serve us. So I would like to hear your side of the story of why you disrespected me and why you're prosecuting a black man. You're following racist policies that was started in Haddon Heights. Haddon Heights, the racist cop in Haddon Heights pulled him over. The chief's son, the chief's son. Yeah, so.
Going with special effects, man. I like that.
Well, I want this prosecutor to know that we know business. Mr. Prosecutor, please call me back. I'd love to speak to you about why you didn't shake my hand.
To send your message, press 1 or hang up now. To listen to your message, press 2. To re-record it, press 3. Your message has been sent.
It's been sent. Okay, I got 25 cents against a penny that he ain't going to call back. But he's going to listen to the whole thing. You know.
He's going to write down pertinent points and try to find some way to...
You know, listen, you never know when you fish like that if you're going to catch something. And I know people go out fishing and they know they're not going to catch fish, and they go, and they remember the ones they did catch. It works. I mean, you're not going to catch any if you don't go, right?
That's right.
He's not going to call you back if you don't call him.
That's right.
So what did you risk? Nothing.
2 minutes of the show?
With okay, when I wrote to the Billy Graham Evangelical Association looking for support for medical marijuana 20 years ago.
Wow.
I wrote also to all sorts of people. They answered back and said, in Cheryl's case, for the reasons you state, we would hope that there would be an exception and for people like her. So they gave support for medical marijuana 20 years ago. Because I wrote and asked and described what was going on with Cheryl. So after that, when somebody, especially from the Midwest, might have had an objection, it's like, well, Billy Graham thinks so. Excuse me? And I could say that, and it was used in lists. But my point was, did I expect they would write back? No, I didn't. Do I expect this guy's going to call you back? I stand to gain a penny and lose a quarter.
All right, I'll take that bet.
You know. I mean, I lose a whole quarter, but if he doesn't call you back, you owe me a penny, see? So I'm just saying that's the 25 to 1 chance I might give it. But if you do that 25 times, you're going to hit one. You are.
Well, let's go fishing again. I'm going to put the line in one more time.
Okay, who for, though?
Another prosecutor.
But let me hear what first. You know?
I love fishing for prosecutors.
Yeah, but tell me why first. Maybe I can help you out.
Ed Fortune is sitting in jail right now. Yeah. We all know Ed's in jail.
Yeah.
And we know how bad Stephanie Katz smells. So the best thing to do is to call her, because you don't want to meet her in person.
Okay, I'd leave that part out.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, it's fun for now. And I'm not saying leave it out now.
Okay.
I'm just saying like that. But what I would do would be, I just read the New Jersey State Constitution this morning.
Right.
What is anybody doing?
They don't follow the Constitution here in New Jersey.
No, I know.
They
but
don't.
But it was very clear. There's a section not only about facing your accuser, but about a speedy trial, and it's a sentence, and it's basically the question might be, why do you not agree with the state constitution, which clearly states, and it's a sentence. You could quote the state constitution of New Jersey. And saying you are in violation of it. Do you understand that?
What is the quote?
I'll see if I can get it up.
All right.
You know.
Let's give her a call.
Well, I'm not going to do it under pressure like that.
Can you please? You just see Ken just now. I'm like, Ken, what are you going to do? What are you going to say to the committee? Ken's like, well, I got this whole thing
He's
written
got
up.
it right. Yeah,
I'm like,
this-
ready, go. And he's like, what? I'm like, go.
Yeah,
and he did it. He did it. Pressure, man. Pressure.
Yeah, but that's what
like-
I'm talking
it's like
about.
boot camp here.
He was already prepared. You know, he wouldn't.
I know how I feel when I do all this shit.
Yeah.
I got 2 minutes to set up. Okay. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's me. So here, you got 2 minutes, Jim. Ready, go.
Well, I can't talk while I'm doing it.
All right, go for it. I'll start the conversation here. And I know
that's way pressure.
I know. I love it. Come on, Jim. You could do it. So, yeah, the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. We're going to give them a call. They don't seem to have compassion for Ed. Ed's sitting in jail. Debbie talked to us on the podcast the other night, and she says Ed does not sound good. Ed does not sound good. He's not getting the treatment he needs. He's in jail over 100 days, and he's suffering. He's a cancer patient. He's a veteran, and we're treating him like a piece of crap. For real. Well, I think Jim got it. Well, you're the man.
I use voice recognition. It says like a piece of crap.
Like it's. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep quiet while you're Googling.
You see, I use voice recognition. I don't have my thumbs working, so right now what I'm looking at says like a piece of crap for real. And then the first thing that comes up was I'm a piece of shit, no more games, no more lies, no more excuses. This is where they directed me because it
great.
Picked up your voice.
That's wonderful.
I will walk further away.
Yeah, there you go. Jim Miller. So Stephanie Katz, who wears these really bad pantsuits, she looks worse than Hillary Clinton. If you thought Hillary Clinton looked bad, you got to see Stephanie Katz, Ed Fortune's prosecutor. She's a mess. She wears these horrible pantsuits. They're all stained, and she smells. I mean, who goes to work like that? Who sends black men up the river dressed like that? If you're going to send a black man up the river, at least give him something to look at. Stephanie Katz, you're a mess, and you stink, inside and out, for what you're doing to Ed Fortune. He's a political prisoner, and you're a pawn in a political game, Stephanie Katz. You'll never be elected to anything after this. You'll never be elected to office. You're going to be a loser. And Ed Fortune always wins in the end. Always. Just so you know. And so do we. So you kind of mess with the wrong one. Oh, I should be calling her. All right, let me give her a call. I should be saying this to her on her message. Maybe I'll get her live. That'd be great. All right, Jim, you got 2 minutes. Here we go. Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. Stanley, don't run. It's only the prosecutors.
Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. How may I help you?
You're on the air. This is Lefty Grimes. Can I speak to Stephanie Katz, please?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry, your name is Lefty Grimes?
Yeah, Lefty Grimes. I've called before.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a call
Does
back.
she know what the call is in reference to?
I would hope so. It's about Ed Fortune, the New Jersey weed man. Yeah.
Okay, hold on, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Come on, don't patronize me with your fake, you're welcome, your sing-songy voice. I do the sing-songy voice, not you. Oh, God, here we go with the music. We're gonna get Ed Fortune justice. We're gonna get Ed Fortune justice. We're gonna get Ed Fortune justice. No, we're not!
Hello, you've reached Stephanie Katz at the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. I'm unable to answer your call right now. Please leave a message, and I will call you back as soon as possible.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Stephanie Katz, this is Lefty Grimes again. I'd like to interview you on our show. My number is 908-616-0682. We need to interview you because we'd like to hear your side of the story on how you're not following the New Jersey Constitution. It says here that in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall have the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel in defense. And he's not receiving that at all. He's actually being treated like a 17th century field N. I won't say that word, but I'm sure you've said that word a few times, Stephanie. But we'd like to interview you and find out if you do say that word or not, or if you do follow Harry Anslinger's racist policies, because you know what? The drug war is racist, and you're a pawn in the drug war, and you're on the wrong side of the drug war. And I'd like to interview you on how it feels to have no compassion for sick people, because Ed Fortune is a cancer patient. He is a veteran. Have you ever fought in a war, Stephanie Katz? Have you ever fired a gun, Stephanie Katz?
Are you still there, Stephanie Katz?
Are you still wearing those pantsuits, Stephanie Katz?
That's irrelevant.
Oh, I'm sorry. But yes,
Stephanie Katz, I'm Jim Miller. I'm here to balance the situation because I know you aren't. But everything Lefty said, I brought up for him on a state constitution. And no matter how he presents it, no matter what kind of a messenger he is right, and you're wrong. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. Yes, you're lucky that he's abrasive because he does tend to push people away who might not hear his message. But we are a team. And today we are a team. So I'm calmly saying that if we show up together somewhere and take this on, it's going to be in a way that people can understand without pushing back. It's going to be with that true but almost hypnotic presentation. You're gently going to sleep, Stephanie. Okay, I'm only kidding around, but see, that's what gets people. And I'm not going to apologize for Lefty's rudeness. He is rude, but he's right. So if you want him to stop being rude, why don't you start being right?
And please call me at 908-616-0682. We would love to hear your side of the story. I'm an award-winning journalist. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Are you a racist? Because if you're following racist policies and you're doing the bidding of a racist system, well, you must be a racist. Please, tell me you're not a racist. I'd love to know this. Give me the answer, Stephanie. I mean, really, it's shocking what you're doing to Ed Fortune. You let people, kingpins on fentanyl, what was it, like a kilo of fentanyl? He got bail. Some gangbanger with a gun, he got bail. Some other idiot, he got bail. Who else? I don't know, somebody else got bail, except everybody but Ed Fortune.
Well, I thought you were supposed to have bail. How can you not get bail? I don't understand. How can you not get bail?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he a risk to flight?
He's a risk to treat his cancer with cannabis.
He's not a flight risk.
No, he's not. Where would he go?
Fellow cannabis patient, Jim Wayne.
Jim
Wayne.
Wayne.
How you doing? Didn't they get a guy with 14 kilos of cannabis a couple weeks? Not cannabis.
Fentanyl. Yeah, fentanyl.
Yeah, 14 kilos.
Yeah, Stephanie
of
gave him bail.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
really?
got. Yeah.
How does she know he didn't have 15 kilos, and they only got 14?
Exactly.
My point.
Well,
is he not a?
You know,
I didn't know,
get
Stephanie.
somebody
You're
sitting in
losing
jail
me as
over
an
a
advocate.
plant,
I got to tell you.
And they're letting these rapists and thugs and real drug dealers out on the street.
Yeah, Ed Fortune sits in jail because of Stephanie Katz's ignorance.
And because he's got a big mouth and she don't want to hear it. She knows she's wrong, and she's going to find out the hard way that we're not going to let her go.
No, we're going to illuminate you. When we shine light on a room and the roaches disappear, that's what's been happening. And we're watching the cockroaches scatter as we shine light on them. And unfortunately, Stephanie, it looks like you're never going to run for office after what you've done to sick people in New Jersey with no compassion. A cancer patient, really, Stephanie? Do you have anyone in your family who's a cancer patient? Anyone?
You are approaching the maximum length for a recording. Finish your recording after the tone.
So my number is 908-616-0682.
Have the day you deserve.
To send this message, press 1. To play your message, press 3. To re-record it, press 4.
Was that a
to
1?
To add to it,
1?
press 5. To cancel, press your message has been sent.
All right, Stephanie Katz, I hope you heard what we have to say. I wasn't very eloquent, but, well, screw it. You don't get the activist you want, you get the activist you need. Sorry. Yo, you and Jim, the two Jims, that was the quote of the day right there. Good stuff. Have the day you deserve. Karma's a bitch, yeah. And when you follow racist policies, man, you're going to get some bad karma. Idiot. What an idiot. All I saw in there was Stephanie Katz sending black men up the river all day long. Black men up the river, black men up the river. That's her job. Racist. Racist
Well,
bitch.
you know, karma being the bitch that it is, I don't disagree that it'll come back. On the other hand, one day you're going to run into a Stephanie Katz that's more acerbic, that's more acerbic than you. And she'll do fake vomit sounds better than you. She'll out-lefty you one day. That's karma. One day he's going to have, I know, you wouldn't think so, right? But that's karma.
She smells bad, Jim. Bad.
Yeah, but Lefty's like a cockroach. You can stomp on him, kick him, smash him in the ground.
Oh, no, that's
keeps
it, yeah.
coming back even stronger.
But there's another prosecutor cockroach that's even more immune than the lefty cockroach that will always come back, you know? Like he might go in a nuclear holocaust, but there's a Stephanie Katz cockroach that's going to survive that because she could be more. I've met my match more than once in a conversation where I got out-gymmed with, and all I had was admiration. You know, I didn't know, I didn't think it was like that was good.
The power in numbers. See, they got power in numbers, and you can't fight that. You get attacked from all angles now. It's like,
Well, it's always good. That's why it's good to have two people advocate with one legislator. It's not that they bring more brain power specifically combined. It's that you're reloading while I'm talking, and you're making a mental note on what you want to say, and then this person's answering me, and you interject the perfect question that I didn't.
Trust me, you do not want me to say what I want to say to these people on their machines.
Say it.
What, on the 19th?
No, say it.
What?
Say it.
No,
Which people?
I try to be kid-friendly.
Just say F. Don't say F you. Just say F or S. Go ahead, say it. I want to know.
I want to say
We
I've
got
never
the-
met
we got
this
the B word.
prosecutor, Mrs. Katz, or what Miss Katz, whatever she is. But apparently, to me, I don't understand how you can think that this is right to prosecute somebody for a plant, first of all.
Yeah.
If she...
Where does she get her inspiration from? Is there
I'm just a little lost for words for this.
You know, it seems like county prosecutors
no
are
inspiration.
they're the top of the food chain
Maybe
in the
she's
county.
got an Ambien thing.
Yeah.
Maybe she likes her Ambien at night, you know? That'll
Well,
do
it does seem in direct
strange
violation
things
of the
to you.
Constitution, and they obviously think they are immune to that or could take the heat if it became a legal issue, which is kind of sad. But
I think she bit off a whole lot more than she
so how
can
long has
chew.
that been in jail? What's the count?
104 days, 105 days.
And they got 180, I believe, before they have no choice but to release him.
Well,
or prosecute him.
Prosecute trial.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm getting Honeybee back on the line. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Honeybee. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, the Jim's kicked ass with that phone call, huh?
I loved it.
Just trying to be pragmatic and understand.
Yeah. Let's hear your side of the story.
It's a great combination.
What's that?
It's a great combination with you two.
It is. It is.
Must be.
Today was great. Today was like all-star day at this table.
It was all-star
Wow.
day. It was.
Yeah.
We had guests here where Lefty and I would have been my fifth and sixth choice to be at that four-man table. You know, Lefty wasn't there. I removed myself.
I'm left out. I'm sound guy at that point.
We were on the other side of the street just going, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And you could watch other people going by. They were, the whole table was well-dressed. We had suits, we had ties, we had briefcases, information.
If you build it, they will come. Yes. If you build it,
Not
they
so
will
much,
come.
Not so much now.
That's great.
I'm dressed, and I even sold one of these shirts today, so thank you. Support the podcast. And also support Mike Alonzo. Let me ask you a question. Jim, have you ever burnt yourself with a torch? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't dab.
You don't dab?
Can't afford to dab.
Oh, you can't afford to dab?
Yeah.
What?
I like it too much.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, I've been like smoking for 44 years, and there's some days I just don't want to be that high.
Dabs really affect you, huh?
Oh yeah. hit me like a ton of bricks.
A ton of bricks?
Yeah, they're fun, but, now and then, not on a normal basis. I prefer to do joints. I'm old.
Well, Jim, have you ever burnt any body parts with a torch?
On purpose?
No, that's TMI.
No.
Well, I have. I burnt my hair off the other day with a torch.
Dabbing?
Dabbing, and I'll never do that again because there's a better way to medicate.
And didn't Joey stick a torch on his leg that day?
He did. Joey should call him because he burnt himself pretty bad. But there's a better way to medicate.
I used to have a whole bunch of T-shirts with pot seed holes in them. And when the seeds popped, that was in the
Wait a
early
minute.
days.
No, I had.
when we had seeds.
That's cool. I remember those days.
I remember.
I
remember
Yeah, the
before
album
seeds,
cover.
I had pajamas with holes all over it because as a 5-year-old, I found out that if you picked at a piece like that and cut below your finger, straight scissor cuts would form a circle. One cut formed a circle. So I'd pick another area of my pajamas, and then I'd cut behind it with scissors, and it would leave a hole of sorts. And I'm thinking, as a 5-year-old, this is not possible. I've used scissors. They cut straight lines. Right. So while that could have been one use for pajamas like that, well, I did that all the way on my pants and the tops until there was nowhere to make a hole. And I
Swiss
thought,
cheese.
and I expected my mom was going to be proud of me because I was so, looking for this. And all she could say is I thought it would end with the eyelashes because before that I'd cut my eyelashes off with them. But it made a straight cut. It wasn't a circle. So apparently I like scissors. So
Long
so you got
story
your
short,
seed
you're
holes.
not into
you know.
burning, but you are into cutting.
Yeah. Although with
Apparently.
the seed popping, I did get a seed pop that produced a blemish in a carpet of my only brand new car I ever had, and that was on the way home. Wasn't me, as a passenger. In my mind, it's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We probably all come close to racking up the car trying to catch that.
We had a lot of
fallen
people
cedar
walk
joint.
by here today too. Did you notice that? There's a lot of traffic going
Yeah,
on.
a lot of good traffic today.
Yeah, we
And
gave
a lot
away.
of people that seem to be quite happy that you're here.
We occasionally do have a hemp bracelet giveaway. So today's been a free hemp bracelet day.
Yes, we have free hemp bracelets if you'd like one here. Help
Actually,
yourself.
people can have two. The reason they can
Take
have two is because they look so nice. Somebody's going to say, "That's great. Where can I get one?"
You look nice.
And well, wait. If we give them one, they'll have to come back. Never mind. Only one. They'd have to come back. I'm making it easy for them not to come back by giving them multiples. I'm not the salesman. I never was. I like giving stuff away. I really do. Good podcast today. I think it's the 76th. I got to come up with the number, but I believe 3 more gatherings. It'll be our 100th weekly gathering, including the non-podcast days of 2014. So
Oh, wow.
that'll be a big
That's
number.
exciting.
Yeah. Big time.
Well, according to Jim sitting right here, Jim Wayne, that our viewership has. I'm going to give the exact numbers because people think people would think it's a comedy good for somebody who needs a viewership, but I got to tell you, so many more people see excerpts that we want them to see once it's published. And so many people know that we're here regularly. When I say people, legislators who know that we have our own platform.
And Sergeant Exter.
Yeah.
He watches us. He's a big fan of ours.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah,
you know,
your leadership is definitely
I
building
liked that he
up. I
wanted to
kind of
watch,
check the
and it
numbers now and then.
wasn't to catch us doing something. It was,
Right.
you know, it's
educate
we
themselves.
get begrudging respect from some and full-fledged from others in law enforcement that we show up this often. And the group, Honeybee, I got to talk to a group of students from, I don't know, Lefty, what is it? They were in a building trades thing or had something to do with, I don't know, a picture of a house and building trades. But they were here with as a group with their teacher who brought them over so I could talk with them for a few minutes. And it was like having a little mini lecture series. And I don't have to remember any of it because it'll be available for you to see when Lefty does get this up. But it was fun. And
Wasn't that before the podcast?
That was
pre-podcast. I showed up and you had a crowd around you.
Oh, no, that was before the podcast.
Yeah, I showed up and there was 30, 40 people around Jim, and Jim just sitting there holding court.
And they were videotaping, so maybe I'll get. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? I'll bet I can get videotape because one, a girl named Angelina loves what we're doing. She liked my, I told them if I was giving this a commencement exercise and I was giving you a speech and going to leave you with my words of wisdom for you to go out to your life, it would be 2 words: take part.
Take part.
Take part. Whatever you do, take part. You see, everybody's got complaints because the world is not fair and there are things that need fixing. And everybody has complaints, as they should. But that's where it ends with so many people just sitting around bitching on a couch somewhere. And I'm saying take that to your legislators. Find other people. There's power in numbers. There's always something more productive to do. And simply taking part, saying it's your legislator, well, then you write him an email. You say exactly what you're saying, only to them. And that we take part every week. We're here every week. And she was very impressed by that. And she wants to take part, so she'll be getting in touch with me. She wants to help the coalition with her mission. Coalition mission. Oh, I like that.
Coalition mission.
The coalition mission. I like when words roll off your tongue like that.
Honeybee?
Yes?
Have you ever burnt yourself with a torch?
It would be the coalition fishing mission.
Not lately. No.
I can't help it.
No? Well, I have.
There's a better way.
There is a better way to medicate.
Oh, really? How's that?
With the magical butter machine.
Oh, really?
Magical butter makes your recipes better. Magical butter makes your recipes better.
So much better.
Brownies, cookies, smoothies, sauces, soups, veggies, candies, salad dressings for your tossed salad, Jim.
So much more.
Soups, vegetables,
Candies, cookies, brownies, and you might have said salad dressing, seafood, and marinade, meats and beverage.
Oh, avocado oil.
No way.
Wow.
I like the avocado oil. It's greasy.
Avocado.
But will it make 2 to 5 cups?
2 to 5 cups.
That's a lot.
I usually bake about 4 at a time. I put a pound of weed in there.
Pound of weed?
Let it spin, spin, spin.
Well, it's the even heating that does it, I say. I understand it. It does have exclusive technology for even heating. Not oven, even heating. And stainless steel. I mean, you don't get better than that. It
cleans up very quickly and nicely. But you have to make sure you clean your strainer bag or it'll get moldy.
Yeah. I don't see.
No, yeah, I just eat the sludge.
Magical
I
butter.
don't even rinse it out anymore. I just let it be at the bottom of the.
Well, one
bottom of the thing I eat
day
it.
they will be able to put integrated digital thermostats
Hardcore.
and sensors to bring laboratory-grade temperature controls to the kitchen. Oh, it can do that too? Oh no!
Magical
Integrated
butter.
digital thermostat. Unbelievable.
We love magicalbutter.com. It does everything.
You know what you don't get with a magical butter machine? Complaints. I
Never.
have not, seriously, I have not heard a complaint. I mean, and Tony bringing up, well, you want to clean this or it'll get moldy. That's not a complaint. That's just like
certainly not a complaint at all.
basic maintenance. And the users, by and large, I honestly have not heard a complaint.
No, they work really good. When I was very sick, I would have never been able to stand and make the coconut oil properly.
Yeah.
But being able to do the one-button method like that,
I'll be honest with
it
you.
helped me when I was very sick.
Garen Angel does and has donated these machines for us to give to people, and that makes us look good.
I want a
but
machine
but the
from one of
fact
his
is
podcasts.
we would be doing these commercials for nothing without even doing that, just to help people, and that's what we're here to do.
I've said the machine saved my life. I happily do a freebie commercial any day, you know.
So Garen
There we are.
Angel,
We love Garen Angel.
Angel is his name and a description.
Yes,
And
it
his-
is.
It is, absolutely.
And yesterday was his birthday.
Just-
he was
just-
40.
just like-
Yesterday was his birthday?
Yep. Happy birthday,
Happy
Garen.
birthday,
Happy
Garen
birthday,
Angel.
Garen Angel.
You crossed
Happy
over to
birthday,
40, buddy.
Garen.
I'm almost there.
All right.
Happy birthday, Garen Angel.
Avocado oil birthday.
All right, so 1-800-420-4334, 1-800-420-4334. Get your magical butter machine from magicalbutter.com. Great sponsor.
.com or
Calm.
Sounded so calm when you said that.
Notice how calm the stoners are over in the grass there today?
Wow.
They're very calm over there today.
Yeah.
They are. I
Just
like
enjoying their
it's-
freedom.
we got our peanut gallery out there, just like, people in the home run section at a ballpark, where they're out there, but not all the way out.
I don't know if they would catch a fly ball right now, though.
No. But this is where they're okay to be because a state trooper escorted Stephen Kuspelich out there that far while he had a joint, and then he turned around and left him there. So while he did
He's actually about 8 feet
he
further.
did say you have to be across the street, but then he only went that far with Stephen. And I got to agree with Stephen that if that's as far as he went and he turned him around with a lit joint there, he left him there, but not up here, the indication is that's as far as he really meant that he had to go.
And
So
they do
I'm
smoke
good
their
with that.
cigarettes up on the porch. So
yeah. Well, normally I tell them I don't want to see it, but I love looking around, seeing them sitting on the blanket, and they're patients, and
it
they're
doesn't even look like they're smoking right now. They're just relaxing.
And it is all patients sitting there. There's
It is
really,
all patients
there's no
sitting there.
non-patients.
Even some American.
What the hell? What's this?
Lunatics are on the grass.
Oh, I know. That's nice.
The lunatics are in my head.
Should we be swaying side to side with our hands over our heads now? You know?
I'm always swaying side to
like
side.
I hate when people do that at a concert. No offense.
With the lighter.
Yeah,
Well, the cell phone now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cell phone lighter. Cell phone lighter screen.
And I got to tell you, I think concert crowds suck for two reasons. One, at an Eric Clapton concert,
lighter.
every time Eric Clapton finished a song, he'd go, "Thank you," and I would yell back, "You're welcome." Seriously, 11 songs. You're welcomed him all by myself. Why? When somebody says thank you and they're performing the service to you and they thank you for listening, shouldn't you say you're welcome back at them?
I was at a World Cafe live show. Holly Bowling was playing piano there, and it was like everyone was eating dinner and very serious and very quiet and listening to the music. And of course, I had like 3 beers in the back, and she played like Terrapin Station or something. So I'm at a Dead show, and I'm like, "Wah!" She got mad.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, well.
Okay.
I did apologize after the show to her, at least.
Many Saudis.
Well, it has to be well timed.
Many
Anyway,
timed.
and I didn't mean to say there's one of two times without saying the other. It was a Grand Funk concert where they all had percussion and the singer, percussion, bass drum, all that. And I was just like so inspired, and I looked around, and there was a bunch of, I don't know how to say it, there was about 500 or 600 old white people behind me sitting stone-faced and still, and I stood up and yelled, "Old white people suck," which in itself, me being one, might have been comical to them. But they knew why, because I gave them a little bounce, and and the guys in the band thought it was good, though. So
You're a funny guy.
I'm an activist. I can't help it.
Do you take part?
Apparently I do. Yeah.
With CMMNJ.org, actually, you take part. That's your organization, Jim.
They do,
They kick ass.
They don't come to the table kicking and screaming anymore. They're putting up an okay amount of cash, certainly nowhere near what it takes to run your podcast, but they're very enthusiastic about that. You get to turn your own profit with what merchandise, whatever you care to bring, so you have carte blanche to make money like that. And we are going to do a fundraiser this year. It's probably going to be a split down the middle CMMMJ podcast fundraiser.
Yes,
because that's how I get everybody else to the table that we'll get half, and it's going to be a pretty big event. Jim was at Laura Barber's fundraiser.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Jim? Was it a fun time as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Real
a good
time.
yeah. We had a really good
time, good people.
at a fundraiser.
Of course, we were the pot smoking table.
Yeah, we were. Laura had us at a table right up front because this was for her late husband Roger, and everybody knew he was an advocate and why. But we were pretty much 8 at one table, and we all disappeared for 10 minutes at a time periodically. Where's everybody at the table except one, and we left my better half there to explain. I don't know. They're all at the bathroom or something. I don't know, somewhere. And it was really good.
But we come back in, it was.
They
were smoking marijuana.
Oh, we did have fun.
Cannabis.
And but there was a 50-50 raffle. Now I won that, so I won money.
Reefers.
It was a silent auction also, and I think that we were there, and neither one of us really had money, but we took part in the silent auction, and we both won something. So it was more. people will be
had
willing
so
to
many-
give us things for a silent auction, for a fundraiser, for the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, and for Sativa Cross. They are able. They are able. A live report, Ricardo Rivera. We've been talking about you on camera. We've been talking about you off camera.
Sorry.
You are really a popular fellow, I got to tell you.
I will tell you to your face.
You know, you've become actually you've become a role model for people and taking part in history.
Yes, taking part. Take part.
Taking part was a
That's very
message.
flattering.
The
Huge.
message today.
It's all about Tuffy. What it comes down
Well,
to.
it is
Tuffy
all.
can't speak, so I have
It
to
is,
be her
and
voice.
you know, for me, it was all about doing things for Cheryl.
Absolutely, 100%.
But it's the example that you don't have to back down, and you don't have to go right to protesting.
Or run away.
Or run away. You're here in a really looking snazzy and sharp today. I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
but you came here for a purpose.
Yes,
and,
you did.
and that helps you advance your purpose. I do the same thing when I testify. And then Lefty makes me look good. He comes and testifies after or before me in a "Don't Shoot, I'm White" shirt, and I'm dressed like. Look at you.
They're scared
I
of me,
don't want
though.
to talk to you. I'm
They're
talking to
scared
him
of me.
now.
They're scared of him.
Well,
So
what
how'd
we've
it go?
done-
Yeah, what happened?
It went great. What I've done is, though, quite honestly, is I've taken a piece from everyone throughout this journey, and I've made my own little thing. I mean, I've gotten pieces from you. You know how you protested for Cheryl. I've taken some stuff from you as well. You know, educating police,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
it's important.
You know, I've taken stuff from the patients. Talk about their condition, not just my daughters every time, because
You've absolutely educated
Yes.
yourself is what you've done.
Yeah.
And I've always tell people you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You should be. 25 years ago when I started doing stuff, I had to seek people out. I couldn't find them anywhere, but I
Sure.
did exactly that. It's the same. So it's the same way I approach it. And then you're exponentially quicker to where you are now than if you just muddled through trying to figure it out.
that was all opened up
Yeah.
by you guys, honestly. I mean, I couldn't have gotten to being able to sit in
Well,
a caucus conversation room with.
You are that kind of effective, and I'm just saying, throwing it out there, that when we were talking before, you ought to run for the assembly. The idea for this man here in 2 years would be so ready to run for the assembly. He is exactly what people want when they say we got to throw all the bums out and start over. Who do you start over with? People like Ricardo.
Yes.
I mean, you have the military background that everybody thanks you for your service. Genuinely, everybody means that because thank you. But you have, what do you do for a living?
I'm a surgical technologist in the
How does
operating
that sound? I'm a carpenter. You're a surgical. I'm not putting myself down. I'm just saying you are that complete package, and then you stick up for your daughter the way you did with total dignity, yet compassion and passion, not compassion. Take it how you deserve it at that point. Because right now, people would vote for the man that I saw the picture of, that it's burned in my memory. It is you at that town hall meeting.
Oh, my God.
And you're being escorted out by a policeman who I believe he's got his arm. No, it's just, please come with me, sir. It's not forceful.
They were pretty
And
respectful.
you had that hand up making one more point. You were ready to turn and go with him, but you finished it.
Well,
and is the look on your face that said,
that was the 8th meeting.
I know that look. I've seen it before. It wasn't angry. It was man on a mission.
Yeah.
And that's the first
that was amazing.
picture I saw of you. And you became that man that picture identifies. I'm telling you,
yeah.
that's
That
the
was
picture
something.
you use. You want to run for office, I will do whatever. I'll if I can't help somebody run for office because I'm on the board of the coalition, I'll resign for a year. I think that would be fantastic.
Well,
so please consider it. Camden County, where I don't know what district that is.
I'm in the 5th district.
Yeah, but you're already so known for your efforts in that community. You're there, man.
I just,
Don't turn on us if you get elected, too, man. That's happened
absolutely
before.
not. No.
We'd be counting on
Don't
you.
take the money.
Don't
take the money.
But tell us, please, what went on? What went on exactly today? What was this all about?
So we got to speak to Ed Oatman. He is the chief of staff for Nick Scutari, who is the man that put up the bill, which I really, really respect. I told him that over and over again because, I mean, it took a lot of heart for someone to step in that role and say, you know what, we need to legalize, and we need to legalize yesterday. And that's what, Senator Scutari's attitude is right now.
Yeah.
He was willing to sit down with us and hear all of our concerns. My main concern
Have you
is,
met with him before this?
Oh, no, I
So
never
has-
met him.
had
He was
Chris-
amazing. He
well,
was a
Chris
great
had probably
man.
met with him, though, or has he?
I think they spoke on the phone maybe once
Yeah,
or
so
twice. but
this is great that Nick Scutari's meeting with you guys while
His
Lefty
chief-
and Mir out here,
his
because
chief-
this would not work the other way around.
His chief of staff met with
Yeah,
us.
well,
and-
that's the guy you want to meet. When I say met with him,
Yeah,
when you meet with somebody's chief of staff, that's who you want to meet with, because he doesn't get to speak for the senator very much, and he doesn't have to.
No.
But the senator, if he met with you, would feel obligated to at least reply to something you're saying, and you might get a knee-jerk reaction. When his chief of staff goes back and you showed him your cards, and you laid the cards on the table, here's what we got. He's going to go back to Nick Scutari and go, they got a good hand, man. And Nick's going to say, what happens?
I mean, I don't think it's about for them. I mean, from what I got, I don't think that it has anything to be against one another. I think it was more of let's work together, and what are your concerns, and what can we do? What can we?
But amongst that, I agree. And I know they obviously want to work with people who are advocates going that same way,
Absolutely.
because we have a base that they want to also appeal to.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're the base.
We are
we're
the base
they want to tax.
But we are.
We're the revenue streaming. We're the D batteries in their new tax economy.
This is
that's
true.
a big part of it. But I think that they understand that.
So when
the way the medical program was designed is just complete BS.
They really got. I'll tell you what. That was the first time. It was Ed, who's chief of staff at Scutari's office, but also a staffer from the Senate Majority was there, which is cool too.
Yes.
And when you were telling your not just concerns, but the real world problems that you've had with the alternative treatment centers, like those moments where I was telling you, it's like you could see people in their eyes get it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Man, I'll tell you, you did a great job conveying that today. It's your experience with it too. The fact that you have to get the marijuana from the ATCs, pay so much money for it, and then you have to go through how do you make it at home.
Making it at home.
And not knowing. I mean, I think they finally got today that patients it's worse than being a slave to the company store. You know what I mean? These alternative treatment centers are giving you product, and you're trusting the labeling on it, and you're trusting the cannabinoid profiles
without
on
proper
it.
testing.
Right, and the laboratory testing here is a disgusting joke. Yeah. I mean, it's laughable. It would be laughable if it wasn't so serious for Tatiana. At the end of the day, if those profiles aren't right, just like you conveyed in that office, if those profiles aren't right, she's having seizures.
She's going to seize uncontrollably all day.
And again, you have to trust those, and you can't. You're already finding that out, because when you're giving her the same strain, making new oil the same way, it's not having the same impact.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's because the labeling isn't correct, Lefty. I mean, at the end of the day, the laboratory testing scheme for New Jersey's medicinal marijuana program, compared to even what we're putting in place in Pennsylvania right now, juxtapose this, okay? In New Jersey, they test single batches at a state testing laboratory. In Pennsylvania, they're going to be consistently first batches. So it's like if I grow a strain of blue cheese at the Egg Harbor Treatment Facility, I get a section sampled by the New Jersey State Police Laboratory, essentially.
And you're good to go for how long?
Yeah, that's the question.
2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, you could grow tons after that isn't tested.
That's not
yeah, and
that's a problem.
Big problem. And it's not just, again, not only do you not know what the cannabinoid profiles are, you don't know if they changed their pesticides or the way that they actually produced it. This is the whole point about sun-grown marijuana too, and getting it outside, or at least in a greenhouse environment. Industrial scale agriculture is really fragile, vulnerable, and in many ways much more dangerous, for the consumer.
Yeah.
So, you're living that right now. But really, when you explain that problem to them in there, I saw two people who really got it, maybe for the first time. And these are the people that championed this law and continue to champion changes in regulations, and quite frankly are supposed to be championing you and your daughter, the patients in this program. So that's what we appealed for today, and that's what we were really left, you're like, give me a fist bump on the way out of the office, because it feels a lot better. Right now, we went in there for the last, since May when they introduced this bill, feeling like consumers didn't have a voice in this legislation in Scutari's 3195. But I think we left there today feeling better about consumers having a voice. And we didn't say just keep meeting with us.
No.
We asked them to have a town hall in Essex County amongst their own constituents specifically about legalization, and not have it be the industry.
That's a nice request.
Yeah, I mean, we're asking legislators around the state to do this, not just
It's kind of like
Senator
standard
Scutari.
procedure
and
if they
especially,
really want.
Yeah, you're right, Jim.
Politicians of color. We need them to also get more involved because their constituents are like 5th District, for example.
Yeah.
Camden's
Yeah.
a big minority population.
And there is
we need them to
valid
step in as
concern
well.
about being left out of the process.
I mean, look,
Yeah,
like I said,
consumers have to be first in this.
I'm happy that
But a
Scutari did
town
this, but we
hall,
need
yeah.
other politicians.
Hey, look,
to
if
get involved.
Tom MacArthur can have a town hall for 5 hours with his constituents screaming at him,
In
screaming,
Willingboro,
saying,
right
"You're the
around the corner
reason
from
my
my house."
family can be, we're our biggest threat to my fam," and he stood there and took it. And I'm not that if he can do that, I can point to him and say, "You're not even going to get adversarial comments. You're going to get constructive. It's not even criticism."
No, I put it in terms of
fact finding is
I
always.
was like, look, if
you
you
don't, you don't go to Colorado on a fact finding mission to come back and not ask your own constituents
That's
what
right.
they think.
There needs to be a fact-finding mission amongst New Jersey cannabis consumers about what we want out of legalization, not what Colorado's cannabis industry or Colorado's Department of Revenue marijuana regulators think is the best plan forward.
Right.
And the other thing that I said to them today, I was like, look, I know you've been out to Colorado. I know you've seen these other places and plans. But they haven't gotten it right either. They haven't eliminated the black
And this is
market
our
in
opportunity
Colorado.
to make it right, yeah.
In fact, we could teach them a real lesson here in how we can have home cultivation in densely populated urban environments, how we can solve social use in easier ways, all these things.
The innovation also of wording was really important, what you brought up. If we word this properly, it'll work out to not only the consumers, but also the businesses as well.
Yeah, we need to, the business, population of New Jersey, large employers, small employers, everybody is going to have to come to terms with their employees being like out of the closet as cannabis consumers instead of trying to hide it all the time. And they're going to have to be okay with that, cool with that, and not accommodate that, but embrace it. They're already, the marijuana consumers of New Jersey are our friends, neighbors, our coworkers. They're the local cops and fighters who are also smoking pot, trying to avoid their drug tests.
Yeah, and
so
some are just disabled and partially employed.
Yeah,
many of them suffer PTSD as well.
Some of them are writers, but it's,
some of them are fathers.
Yeah, absolutely. The parents of New Jersey. We didn't bring
this.
that up. That's something I forgot to bring up. Is that when we talk about consumer protections, we talked about drug testing. We want in the bill to be eliminating drug testing from probation and parole, but we also don't want cannabis consumers who are parents to suffer any discrimination when it comes to being parents.
And also being protected from child protective services also is really important.
Well,
and we didn't get to mention
and
as
in
well.
a divorce. I mean, even
and a divorce,
beyond getting in trouble or anything like that, I'm here to tell you that any cannabis consumer has to go through New Jersey family courts to get a simple divorce, even if they're having an amenable spouse. They're all shaking in their boots about the idea that they would be exposed as cannabis consumers if they're parents too. So, all of a sudden, if it comes out that you're a cannabis consumer in the middle of your divorce trial, all of a sudden custody gets a lot more complicated. And you might not have ever gotten arrested, you might not be in trouble with DIFUS or anything like that, but it comes out during the family court trial. And I know a lot of divorce attorneys. Believe me, this is a prescient
run
issue.
with it, yeah.
Well, yeah, and if you don't have an amenable spouse, if you both smoke marijuana, or if one does and one doesn't, and it's a bad divorce, man, behind the scenes between the lawyers, that's when things get really ugly. So yeah, parents who are cannabis consumers in New Jersey need some consumer rights, some consumer protections, so that we can avoid this discrimination at all levels.
Did you, I would imagine, talk about home cultivation?
Oh yeah.
How'd that go?
Again, Scutari's like, what's great about home cultivation is that Nick Scutari, at least up until this bill came out, was a big proponent of it. He put up a big
He had it in
fight.
the Senate bill for the medical marijuana bill.
Well,
originally.
not only that, he was incensed with Assemblyman Conaway when Conaway's Health Committee removed it from the New Jersey medicinal marijuana bill. I mean, when you brought that up in the meeting, and I didn't want to follow it up because Ed knows the story there, you know what I mean? Scutari was literally red in the face.
What happened? Say it again. Assembly Speaker.
Yeah. No, it's Assemblyman Herb Conaway.
Oh, Herb Conaway.
Yeah,
right.
Herb Conaway at the Assembly Health Committee.
Yes, I was there when the
that was the day
was
where
done.
it was the Assembly Health Committee, and it was Herb Conaway who removed home cultivation from
Was that
the
a
medical
blind
marijuana
side, or
bill.
did Senator Scutari know?
Total blindside, and Scutari was in the room that day. If you remember, you could hear.
I was there.
Remember, they delayed the hearing that day.
Yes,
so
I do.
This was, I think, 2009, and it was like one of the
Yes, it
final hearings for it.
Yeah.
The Assembly Health Committee, Herb Conaway is the chairman, and everybody's there. The room is packed. The press is there. And it's like the clock is ticking and the committee isn't meeting. They're all behind this closed door.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like some staffer or somebody walks out and the door opens and you hear Nick Scutari's voice, just like rising man, just like an angry, firm tone. And they were, at least I heard in stories later that what the heated argument was about was being blindsided about the removal of home cultivation.
He should have been a heated argument. See, Lefty, that's when you have a heated argument, right then.
And that's
you would have been good by his side. I was there.
New Jersey was the first in the country to implement this, and
then it
other,
was the last state
and
that
then
other states will follow suit.
Every state followed suit. That's the scary part. When New Jersey removed home cultivation of
Is that
medical
our fault?
marijuana.
I think that's our fault.
Well, we laid down on it.
No, I had said then our mission should be to be the example of what not to do. And I'm not saying I was like John Belushi in Animal House. Let's get him, and nobody followed me. I'm just saying that there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for saying we screwed up. Don't do what we did, and here's why.
Oh no, we did it after. We did it after. That was the problem.
We
Jim.
did. I mean,
Oregon was the first. Not Oregon. Washington. Was the first to implement a legalized
the blind
and not
side-
allow home grow.
The
And they
blind side
followed
to
what Jersey
patients.
did.
Yeah.
People got blindsided like me, like Ken, like people who were there for their children, that chairman of the committee, Herb Conaway, a practicing physician, came out and
Democrat,
said, there have been some changes made. I'm going to read them to you. Then we'll have no more than 10 minutes of discussion. This is the bill that we are going to pass today.
Yeah.
He said that this is the bill we're going to pass. I'm going to read it. There's going to no testimony, no discussion from us. When they said discussion, it was more from them to us, and it was less than 10 minutes, and everybody went out with their head spinning like they didn't quite know what just happened.
Classic. And in Pennsylvania, they did the same thing with
People
home cultivation.
Okay.
There would have been no way of stopping this.
Not
though.
the exact,
I wasn't there back
you
then.
know,
There was-
it's weird. It's weird the brinksmanship that happens in the politics here, Ricky, because again, they know that they're taking a position that's tough to counter.
Why is there no
you know
heat
what I mean?
for Herb Conaway? Let me ask that bluntly as I can.
Well, he's also one of the ones. I mean, let's talk about.
Why has he got no heat from people like us?
Oh, he's gotten heat from people like me.
He has from me. I saw him one time talking to anti-fracking
He's my assemblyman.
demonstrators.
I've talked
and
to him about it many
I
times
had to go
in person.
by an anti-fracking demonstration to say, Senator Conaway, good to talk to you. Grab his hand and explain why I was talking to him, and physically not let him get away while I was holding his hand.
Well, these are the same. I mean, Jim. Let's get to the honest truth
People
about
died
Assemblyman
because
Conaway.
of his decision. People died. Families were ruined.
Even worse,
died
Jim.
because of him. He killed people with that decision.
Not just that one, Jim.
Real people, real kill, not metaphors.
Maybe you heard that the state of Ohio is suing Purdue Pharma and Johnson & Johnson over the opiate crisis. Look, the reason that the opiate crisis was crafted, born, and sold from New Jersey, because that's where Purdue Pharma and Johnson & Johnson are located, here.
Yeah.
OxyContin was invented in New Jersey, in Cranberry, New Jersey, at Purdue Pharma's laboratory. The marketing was invented in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's why Ohio is suing these companies. But the reason that those companies are based in New Jersey, and the reason that Johnson & Johnson and Purdue Pharma got the opportunity to sell the opiate crisis to the rest of the country is because people like Assemblyman Herb Conaway made an environment and were political friends to these companies all these years. New Jersey is home to 26 of the 28 largest pharmaceutical company-based laboratories in the world. And there's a reason for that, is because the New Jersey legislature created the most welcoming environment for them to be here. And again, they didn't get away with doing this stuff for no reason. They were able to create the opiate crisis and sell it to the rest of the country from New Jersey because of the New Jersey legislature and guys like Herb Conaway making it easy for them.
So if I go testify at committee hearing with Nick Scutari there, and I say something not really laudatory about Herb Conaway, he will not mind that. No, I mean, because I can point to that as being where the medical bill,
moment where it all went wrong,
where the wheels fell off,
Yeah.
and I do not want to see those wheels wobbling on the legalization bus that we got
That's
going
what
now.
I said.
Yeah,
And he has to learn from that to say that maybe what we say about home cultivation will. I'm leaving here what you're saying with you guys, thinking this is not a done deal that it's not in there.
Well, we got a lot of work to do, Jim.
No, but it's not a done deal. It's not something that cannot happen. We got to approach it like we can convince them.
Home cultivation can and will happen in New Jersey.
Before you go, Chris, let me ask you a question. My friend Mike Alonzo has won his primary. He's in the Republican. He's voting. He's running in the District 31. He's starting his cannabis campaign next week. He's an MS patient. He can smoke cannabis legally on the stump. He's the first person in the USA to do this. How do I get him some press at his event?
It sounds like he's the first in New Jersey for sure. There have been some other candidates out there who have tried to win office on the same platforms, registered medical marijuana patients.
He can smoke in public. That's the difference. He can smoke publicly.
Then simply hold he wants to be here in the New Jersey Assembly.
Yeah.
Then schedule a press conference in front of the New Jersey Assembly here with the press pool in Trenton and smoke a joint and talk about why he would make a good legislator. I made the point actually one of the points that I made in this meeting here is one of the reasons that we need to eliminate workplace drug testing is so that police, firefighters, and legislators can be cannabis consumers.
Ah, thank you.
So there you go. We have to not only remove the stigma. Yeah, and when I mean, I'm saying that home cultivation is going to happen in New Jersey because I'm convinced that we're going to make the argument for it. I mean, we got no promises inside that building whatsoever. All we have is an open mind. But I know that we can make the argument for home cultivation in New Jersey. I know we can win this.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Chris Goldstein. Wow, what a good day. What a good day. So I want to thank our sponsors, magicalbutter.com, Happy Daddy Products, NewJerseyWeedman.com, SativaCross.com. Honeybee, you still with us?
I sure am.
Okay, just checking. DavidVersusAutism.org, Blue Planet Biotech, Run New Jersey, Medical-Freedom.com. Get your State of Compassion flags from Medical-Freedom.com. Canna Sense, New Jersey Grannies for Grass, Tuffy's Fight. That's Ricardo's daughter, Tuffy's Fight. God bless you and bless Tuffy. Legalize for Lorelei, a little girl from PA. JacksonStorms.com, Prayers for Sarah, Prayers for Pete. Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey, Jenna's Journey, Women's Veterans Collective, and Weed for Warriors. So there you go. This is the time of our list. This is the real shit, folks, right here. You want to hear some real stuff? Well, stick around, because these people are dead. These people died waiting for their cannabis. They're not here anymore to speak for themselves, so we speak for them. And people
Yes, you do.
and people like Cheryl Miller, she spoke for us before she died, and she still speaks for us after she's dead. She wore a T-shirt on her deathbed that said, "I'm a cannabis user." And she didn't mean for it to happen, but she was educating people after she died, and she's still doing it today. Right today she's doing it, right now. So thank you, Cheryl Miller, because she affected me. When I saw her, I should play the tape of her that I have where she called them all liars.
Yeah, what about that, right?
Yeah, Pete Christopher said.
But she didn't say it badly.
No,
As a matter of fact,
no.
they're such liars.
What did Pete Christopher ask her? He asked her a question.
Yes, something is any of them disappointed you or discouraged you, something like that?
Something, yeah.
Yeah, and then and she said the legislators they're such liars.
Yeah, they're all
and
liars.
that was how the video ended.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, you want a shirt? Which one? I sold 3 shirts today, Jim.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, don't shoot on white. Take whatever size is left. You can take the one that's hanging up.
That's great.
Yeah. No, 20. Just 20. Yeah. Take. There should be a couple over there. There's one. If not, there's a small one up there. There's a bigger one there somewhere. If not, I'll give you the one off my back. I will. I'll give you this one off my back. It's large and it's a little cut up and it's probably got my sweat on it. But hey, there you go. Wow, 3 shirts today. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. That's helpful.
Very helpful.
Well, you know, it costs money to do what you do.
It does. It costs $60 a podcast, so that's very helpful.
Nice.
So yes, Cheryl, thank you because you affected me and you got me to do this and to do something. What's the word you said? Take part?
Take part.
You got me to take part, Cheryl. Thank you.
Yeah, well, no more hit and run was Cheryl's thing, meaning if you have a voice in affairs that affect other people, you have not a duty, not an obligation. You must. It's mandatory that you must talk to the people that your decisions affect. Meaning if you're a legislator and you've had a vote on something and somebody it affects wants to talk to you about it, you talk to them about it. Or they come talk to you about it. Or they pick at your house if you're Frank Pallone and you're a congressman. You go where you got to go, you know. I would like to say, though, this is the part of the podcast that it always makes us feel bad. It grounds us. It brings us back to realizing what's at stake, you know. And
life and death, man.
Yeah.
And suffering.
So
and real bad suffering.
And it's not like when Roger passed on, we add him to the list because although he wasn't a patient, he was the strongest of patient advocates, and you know, it's the people that we remember. Now, my mom passed away after the last podcast.
Sorry, Jim.
Well, we knew it was coming, so. Let me center myself here. What I mean to say is, for all the things that Cheryl did, they happened from Mom's house. I mean, Mom watched. My mom watched in 1998 when we said, "Yeah, we're going to Washington. We're going to do some lobbying. See you in a couple of days." And we come back with a stack of USA Todays, and she goes, "How'd it go?" I go, "Well, we got arrested." You know. I mean, what mother wants to, you know? So she watched it all happen. But whatever I am and whatever I'm not. I was at 4th grade. Mom and Dad got divorced. No 4th grader wants that, not especially in the late 50s, early 60s. So at that moment, I went into a living environment of my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother. That's right, I was brought up by 3 generations, my mom, my grandmom, my great-grandmom, and my brothers. And we turned out good. We all turned out really, really good. So for whatever I am and I'm not, however I stick up for people, my manner of advocating, I am a product of an upbringing by her. So if I've done good, it's because of my mom. She's done good. So I just thought, I don't know, good time to remember her for everybody that didn't know her. I wouldn't be here doing what I do if I wasn't brought up that way. If I wasn't here, Lefty wouldn't be here. None of us would be here at this exact moment right now if it wasn't for Joan, Stevens, and Cole. So may she rest in peace. Saturday gathering, if you're not doing nothing, you can come by too.
Okay.
Tom's early. I'll be in touch. Yeah, you might like it. No podcasting.
No. I need to take a break.
Yeah. So here we are to remember. And validate some of their struggles by remembering them every week at the end of a podcast, and we have for years now.
People like Sabina Rose. Sabina Rose was 15 months old, and she waited a quarter of her life for her cannabis. Why does a 15-month-old baby have to suffer? Why don't we do everything we possibly can for these children? Because cavemen treated their kids better than we do. Cavemen! Are you kidding me?
Oh, you sounded just like William Haney then.
Are you kidding me?
No, you sounded more like him when you weren't trying.
Oh, okay. Well, it's bullshit that children are dying because Chris Christie puts hoops in front of parents. It's ridiculous. Why is this happening? Why are babies dying under Chris Christie's watch?
All the way across the country?
Baby killer, Christie. Baby killer.
You know,
sorry.
Whether or not you yell that, is actually a fact that the rules that he implemented, the regulations, have resulted in death. So you could make a fair argument that our governor has killed children with his roadblocks that were put there because he couldn't get rid of the bill altogether. He couldn't get rid of the law. It was signed. It was up to him to implement. And he implemented it in a way that would do the least people the least amount of good.
He didn't have the foresight to know that this would kill kids. How did he not know that this would kill kids?
Now, how do you keep it up once you find out that it has? You know? The same day that Sabina Rose died, it was December 2nd, Chris Christie was giving a press conference saying we are not going to expand. He didn't say expand the law. He said expand the law.
I think he did say expand
the
law.
word expand. We don't consider it expanding so much as bringing it back. It's like my uncle, when he went into the Marines, said it seems like what they do is they beat you down in boot camp so bad. They take away basically all your dignity. They give you back half and you feel great. That's what Chris Christie did. He beat that law down so bad and we got some back. And we do feel good about it, but we cannot lose sight of the fact that it is still not good enough. It never will be. And the only way that Chris Christie's meddling can be undone now is with legalization. That he is the reason the coalition supports legalization. Without Chris Christie in implementing the way he did, we would still be a strictly medical advocacy organization, but we changed our mission statement in 2014 because of Chris Christie. So, Chris Christie, you recruited us to the legalization effort for social use of cannabis by adults. Doesn't that just roll off your tongue? That doesn't roll off anybody's tongue but mine. Social use. I don't recreationally consume cannabis. I don't play. I might feel like it. I don't recreationally have beer. I'm going to socially have some. My brother's come in from Canada. I'm going to go see him right after that. We're going to socially consume beer. And we're going to socially consume cannabis. Oh, you're tearing me apart here.
Diane Ripatella.
Yes, I will, if I may.
Diane Ripatella died from Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a very horrible disease that's up there with MS. And she sat here, she stood here on the podium and spoke at the State House steps. She took part. Diane Ripatella took part.
I'm hiding.
And she knew she would be dead before this law was passed, but she still did everything that she could, just like Cheryl Miller did. But little Gracie never had the chance to grow up. She died young. Cindy Mae died young. Little Jack from Colorado, he died young.
And, you know, besides the children, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to go back to Diana and remember her husband, Joe, that he suffered greatly doing what he could for her, and he made sure she got here. So every time Diane showed up, it was because Joe got her there. And now he's the one without his wife. So, yeah, there's... she went down swinging, and he went down helping her swing. So that was his insurance policy as well as mine, I'm sure. We will never look back, my friend, and say we wish we'd done more. Okay, we've done that already, but that's why I don't think we deserve to look back. We will look back and wish we'd done more because that's how we roll. There is always something else we could have done, but we are not going to be those people that said, why didn't I take part? And
we did
you
something.
know what? I'll pat us on the back all I can publicly for that. We take part. I'm not saying I'm proud of our results. I'm not saying I'm proud of our methods. I'm proud that we show up, we take part, because this is where the playing field is in our advantage.
We're winning. Show up. We are winning too. We take part and we win.
We're not backing down, and when it's our time, we are going to fall facing the opposition. That's part of the ode to remembrance in a stanza we don't read, but
I know that's on. I was just being silly.
He knows when we need a silly break, when it's gone a little close to the edge, you know. You know, if you can't laugh, we would have gone even crazier by now.
Oh man, today was such a beautiful day. I've spoken to a lot of people though, as I did not know where their mind is at, their mindset, and beautiful minds. People just amaze me today.
Yep.
Well, I think that, of course, when Philippe sits down at our podcast, he adds the dimension that he does, and that's well known. But I liked watching you make the rounds today, the people who were here. It was like, I don't know, it reminded me of somebody that's here socially, but not only socially. This is also a man with a plan. And I'm watching him advance it little by little. I'm a people watcher, Philippe.
I noticed that.
And I'm watching you. I got my eyes on you.
I already know you're watching me. Trust me, I'm not going to fail you.
Yeah, but that's probably because I see a little bit of me. I mean, it's almost like when I'm not here, it's because there's somewhere else I might need to be. And I got to say, getting Bill Caruso and Philippe Dumais together so that they can have their parallel issues and overlapping issues. Two people here, men with plan. Everybody's got a plan, but Ricardo Rivera and Philippe Dumais are two similar people in their short, medium, long-range plans. They carry them out of their military background. That brings that dimension to it, I think, and it's really fun watching you guys work and grow, man. It's like I never had any kids, so I look at people I might have imparted something to and think, man. Ma's just like me, My boy's just like me. Okay, sorry, Harry Chapin. I screwed that up, but you know what I mean. So it was a good day today, a very good day.
Yes, it was.
I
definitely agree.
And it's funny because normally there's like way more time we have to talk on the podcast, but it was such an all-star day that even I was, let me get out of here.
Yeah.
I got to give up my seat because I'm the fifth wheel.
I was the sound guy today.
Yeah, that
big
was
time.
Great. That was great,
Oh man.
So did oh my God, is that list complete yet?
This list is not complete because we just added William Buckman to this list.
Well, he's been
dead a while, but
gone for a while, but
he should be on the list.
I don't know why he wasn't before.
Yeah, so he's on here.
Came up. The man's been a advocate, activist of other issues longer than I've been at this.
Yeah. Racial profiling on the turnpike.
He almost lost his practice because of that. Because even when you aren't making money, you have bills, staff, rent, overhead. Yeah, it came very close. It was very. I was at his funeral, and the amount of people that showed up because of activism that he did, it was an incredible group at that synagogue.
There was no note left, was there?
No. Suicide for people who don't understand. So you never know, You never know.
Marie from Cancer, Pennsylvania. Joan Ford, her book on epilepsy will be coming out soon, The Falling Sickness. Randy Robertson had his entire insides taken out. I mean, the Whipple procedure, really? They take out all your organs, and they call it something real fancy. They spend a lot of money on it. Still, it didn't help him. Before they gave him cannabis, they took all his organs out.
They need a different name for that procedure because Whipple just sounds so easy and neat.
Ripple. How about ripple?
Ripple, yeah.
Ripple your guts out.
Rip them all.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah, well, but that was...
he was amazing, that guy.
Could cannabis have helped prevent it or just made it easier? What's the connection?
He should have had cannabis years before. Just like Chad. My friend Chad's on this list. He got cannabis too late. He had brain cancer. He needed oil. He couldn't get the oil he needed because they don't have oil for him.
Oh my God, getting cannabis too late, there's something so wrong about that because it's there all along, but we do have a law that allows patients who are in hospice to be patients, but we do not have a system in place that allows them to be patients. They're allowed statutorily, but there is no way for them to consume it in the environment they're in many times in hospice. And I watched my mom die, and I could not have helped her legally use cannabis. I could not. She was in hospice for 2 months, maybe, month and a half, and I couldn't have. And it just drives it home that when we worked with the former director of the program, John O'Brien, it was on that issue. How do we get this to where people, and the only way to do it would be if cancer is a main indication that gets you in the hospice, you have to go to where people are diagnosed So they have time to become a patient by the time they're about to die. You have to start with your diagnosis if you have any hope of getting it as a hospice patient. That's wrong. It's legalization, the only way. That's the only way people in hospice will be able to have that, whether it's a vaporizer or oil. They could have it. Oh man, you know what? I'm getting actually more angry than sad with this ending here. Normally I get sad. It's just pissing me off right now. Wow, maybe we switched.
Let me ask you a question. I know how you are. When you were in this hospice, did you go around advocating and talking to people about cannabis? I know you did.
You think?
What was your responses from people in there?
Jaw dropped. My mom's hospice nurse, when we met, I didn't do it right away. I waited about a minute and a half. That was in deference to my mom because I didn't want her to think I was just coming in guns blazing.
A minute and a half, Jim?
Yeah. But Mom brought up Cheryl, and we were talking about indications that were similar to both of them that you need to deal with for health reasons. With immobility, several things. And then I said, well, to better understand why Mom's talking about my late wife, she had MS. She could only move her head and a little bit of her shoulders for a decade. And I got my phone out, and I was talking to her while I said, you might want to watch this video on YouTube from 1998. I'd be the guy in the brown hair, because I had brown hair there. This is so long ago. And Cheryl, and then I said, I'm a bit of an activist, so this might explain things a little better. And then I turned and I talked to Mom for a while, but keeping a little bit of an eye on her, and it was literally a dropped jaw and like, yeah, it's me. I'm the guy in the brown hair, but that's me. And it kind of blew her away. And then word gets around from there. I wore my colors one day. Rick wore his coalition shirt. You know, not every day. I mean, I wasn't there.
Oh, Ricky was with you?
My brother,
your brother. I'm sorry.
Rick.
Brother
Yeah,
Rick. Okay.
Brother Rick was back from Canada then. He's just come back now. We'll get to go be together shortly after this. And then a day after, it'll be the first time I had all three of my brothers in a couple of years maybe. So we get to do that. But Rick wears the colors in Canada. It's a pretty popular T-shirt. So, yeah, we advocated. And here's the most amazing part. The hospice nurse had to ask me, we don't have medical marijuana in New Jersey, do we? She did not know. So, when people say we don't need to advocate to tell people that we have a law, I think we should assume that we still do occasionally. You know, we shouldn't assume everybody. This hospice nurse did not know.
That's...
Yeah. Well, she doesn't know.
It's still shocking.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
I bet she knows about OxyContin and Valium.
And, yeah, morphine. Yeah. Oh, my mom did get morphine.
Klonopin,
Yeah, she got morphine.
Xanax.
It was good.
Come on, man. We can do better.
We can. We can put a smile on somebody's face a lot easier than morphine. Even if it is, you know, coming to their end. So, but that's why we're here. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why I wanted to pay a little tribute to my mom, because I would not be here if not for her. I don't mean being born. I mean if not for being brought up in the way that says you stick up for people with less than you share, and you give what you can without expecting anything in return.
Pay it forward.
Yeah. And come home when your mom calls you and eat your vegetables and things like that too. You know. I got that, but it's not pertinent.
Think globally, act locally.
Yeah. So are we at the ode?
Jeremy was 6 months away from being off probation for growing some beautiful cannabis.
Oh, man.
And he died, and his family was ripped apart from the drug war because he didn't have cannabis. So he used other things for those 4 years that he was on probation, just like any of us would do. I'd be taking whatever. And that's what he was doing, and couldn't find a job that was it was a mess. The drug war ruined his life, ruined his family's life, and now Joanne is suffering still because of this racist drug war that they're still fighting to this day.
Lasting effect.
So, Jeremy, still waiting. Colette, don't give me that. Yeah.
Sorry.
I want to cough too.
I wasn't voted most likely to be a class clown, but there are people ready to cast a vote now, probably.
Colette is Jeff's mom. She died from MS. But you don't die from MS, do you, Jim?
From complications.
Right.
Caused by MS.
Yeah, you die from pneumonia or not being able to swallow.
There have simply been people who have died from sepsis, from infections, from bed sores, from MS. I mean, it's a long
bed sores
list. I mean, it happens.
Sepsis.
Yeah. Anytime you can't move. So yeah.
Matt, Troy from pancreatic cancer. Russ Perry was my friend. Jay Arletto called me 2 weeks before he died trying to get cannabis and trying to get on the program. And I gave him information on where to go. But it was easier for Jay to get heroin. He went down the street and got heroin instead of cannabis, and he's dead now. Roger Barber.
Some would say that his mission to help his daughter hastened his death or could have caused it. He lost weight in the time I knew him. It's a very consuming process. And some would look and say, it was nice that Roger was a lawyer when it came time to help his daughter because he could do that as a lawyer as well as a parent. And it's a mixed blessing. It's a double-edged sword. He then had to stretch himself that thin. It wasn't like have a lawyer and consult him. It was be the lawyer. And I don't know. Let's just say it involved potential for, and as far as I know, losing the house, taking care of his daughter, being the lawyer. So I would not argue with Laura's sentiment that this may have basically killed him.
He kept all that stress inside and put on a happy face for his daughter and his family.
You saw him put on a happy face one time when he had a happy face, and that was when he dabbed with you.
That was pretty funny, actually. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to dab.
I got to say, I didn't see it, but I can picture his face.
So
like
funny.
When Lefty just started to indicate that, he was already getting up.
Roger, would you like to go on the other? Because he knew we were going to dab.
Yeah.
He just, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome. And that wasn't the first dab. The first of many, because he liked it. And he was a patient.
I miss him.
I miss that guy. F.
Remember how it is when you miss somebody, because there are people now that we will be missing one day soon, and we'll miss them less if we be more a part of their lives now.
Yes, it's true.
You know, and we're a part of a lot of people's lives, so we're going to be missing people all the time.
1 out of 10 patients die. There's about 10 patients here.
1 out of 10 in a year.
Jeez.
In a given year. Yeah. It's not something to be congratulated for. You're lucky. You get to have medical marijuana.
Yeah. How do I get a card?
You put your name on a board with 10 numbers, and if you're willing to have a 1 in 10 chance of dying, welcome to the club.
There you go. Welcome to the failed program. Honeybee, you don't have these problems in Oregon.
Nope, we don't. And it's really sad to see how New Jersey is, and we just sit here. I just threw away 5 plants the other day.
That's right. She threw them away in the garbage. Threw them away. Why'd you throw away 5 plants, Honeybee?
Because I don't have room for them, and we just have so many. My friend had over 40 she needed to get rid of.
How come we don't have these problems in New Jersey? Are you serious? Grab a mic. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to have a plant in New Jersey.
Oh. We got kids dying out here, honeybee. They're dying. And
Oh.
and it's
I know. I felt really bad throwing them away.
wow.
See that? I'm getting angry again. This is like way
Right?
better. This is way better than feeling sad, though. I choose anger over sadness. Thank you. I deal with it better.
Borders. It's all about borders.
Yeah.
Her border is better than our border, apparently.
Yep.
Grass is greener on her side.
And they don't have Chris Christie over there.
And cheaper.
That just, by the way, that just rose up and down.
Whoa!
Oh, God. Whoa! We're going for a ride, boys.
Okay, I could have been a little less calm when I said, "Oh, by the way, the tent almost just flew away." And it's, you know, for anybody's just listening on the radio.
Okay. Honeybee?
Yeah, it just came off the ground. Here,
The tent just blew away. We got to end the show, so please take it away. Your son is on this list, and I'm very sorry that your son is on this list. He died from a drop seizure, and he had seizures, and he died from complications of that. And
Yep.
I'm very sorry that we had to add your son to this list, but we are going to remember him every week, and we hope that that this list helps somebody and maybe changes something sometime, somewhere, someday. And I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And I know you're not feeling.
ready?
Yeah, you're not feeling well yourself. I know you got a little fever, so go ahead, honey.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say, is go for it.
I'm just going to end the show today, but great show, guys.
Thank you. See you on Monday.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor their years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Remember that.